Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are here for the first test match of the Greatest Rivalry Tour. There has been a ton of anticipation heading into this contest, and now it is finally happening. Ellis Park, the Springboks versus the All Blacks. I should say it is finally happening, but it's actually still about an hour 15 away from the kickoff of this contest. We've got plenty of build-up heading into this matchup, looking through at the stats, looking at what is to come for these two sides, and also just the general build-up of what is supposed to be, and it could be arguably the biggest test match of this year. Now, that is also dependent on the result, and then, of course, the other games of the Greatest Rivalry Tour, but a huge occasion. Altitude also going to be a bit of a factor for this matchup, and a late injury change for New Zealand too that we will break down in just a short moment. But looking through at the Springboks and the starting lineup that the South African World Champions have put out there on the park for this contest, Oxenchatt in the front row, Malcolm Marx at 2, and Wilco Low close out the front row as the number 3. This is power up front for the South Africans, always was going to be, and we know how strong the scrum can be for the South African side. New Zealand will need to be on their A game. They've gone with what is arguably their strongest front row. Malcolm Marx with that line-out accuracy, also something to keep an eye on. For this game, in the locking duo, Eben Etzebeth. Not a huge amount of game time in terms of his international game. Throughout the last 12 months, he did serve that lengthy ban, which stopped him from being able to be in the action. But someone who's been doing brilliantly throughout that time is Ruan Nokia from the number 5 jersey. Out of those two men, you probably write Nokia's name on the team sheet first. There's a little bit of pressure for that number 4 jersey from Cobus Visa for Etzebeth, but still the veteran to go out there head-to-head with a youngster in Josh Lord for New Zealand should be a very intriguing battle. In the locks and the loose forward trio, someone who a lot of people are excited to see for this contest up against New Zealand, Paul de Villiers. He's a jackling machine, and he will really be able to put New Zealand under pressure from those breakdowns when it comes to those steals, as well as just general maybe being able to slow that ball down a little bit from New Zealand. Don't let Cam Roygaard get that game flowing too early on, but de Villiers, he's extremely strong throughout the URC for the Stormers at just getting in that breakdown, causing disruption, and also winning a few penalties along the way as well. The captain, Peter Steph at number 7. That is due to the absence of Sio Kolisi in the captaincy's role, but Peter Steph is always in that loose forward trio and always dangerous when he's there. Jasper Visa, I should say, closing out the 4-back, a battering ram of a player. And the number 8 jersey for the 19 combo, it's a Grant Williams and Sasha Feinberg and Zulu combination. Neither man has had a huge amount of game time as of recently, and that is because of injuries. Williams was out for a majority of the URC season. Sasha Feinberg and Zulu just coming back from a 3-month injury break. He played in the game up against Argentina and maybe didn't quite have the performance that he would have liked, but something that he did extremely well was the work under that high ball, which of course is something that maybe South Africa do target in terms of this contest. In the midfield, it is the world-class duo of Damian Dialendi and Jesse Creel as 12 and 13. Kurtley Arinsa out on the left wing. Cheslin Colby out on the right for some of his first minutes and a little bit of time for the green and gold. And then at 15 to close out the starting lineup for South Africa, they've gone with Damian Willemse. But looking through at some of the chat before we go on to the All Blacks starting lineup, we have got the All Blacks getting steamrolled tonight, says Sandor. We have got their nice one jacket looking fresh. Hamish says Mashihu, thank you very much. Love the brother, or love the suit brother, says Po Rava. Nice outfit, Hamish, says Matthias. Well, I thought I've had a lot of weeks where I didn't wear the blazer. But if there was ever a game to bring out the blazer for, it would definitely be this game, the Greatest Rivalry Tour, the opening test match of what is going to be an absolutely phenomenal 4-test series. I've decided to get it out of the wardrobe. Almost couldn't find it. So that's how long it's been since we've worn it on a stream. We have got there's going to be stress for 80 minutes for everyone. I should have gotten blood pressure meds, says Campo. Yeah. See, that's the thing. The match is still about an hour 30 away. Actually, it's a little bit less than that, about an hour 20, which sounds like a long period of time, but it's going to absolutely fly by. There is going to be a lot of stress heading into this kickoff, and then there's going to be even more stress throughout the 80 minutes. That is the type of rugby that these two sides can play. We're going to look through at the head-to-heads, and there's normally not a lot that splits them, although their most recent meeting, of course, there was a massive amount that split them in Wellington, but we'll be going through all of that in the very near future. Looking smart there, Hamish says, Jasmine, thank you very much. Kia ora. All Blacks Forever squad, staff, teams, New Zealand Rugby and the Haka, says Giancarlo. And got there about Anton Segner being out too. Yeah, the late change for New Zealand off the bench. It brings Simon Parker into that number 19 jersey And there was a little bit of concern I saw on social media about that switch from New Zealand. A lot of people thought maybe either Blackadder or Tui Pilotu may have found himself in there, even Wallace Satiti. I don't think Parker was very high up on a lot of people's lists. So there's going to be pressure on the man who hasn't had a huge amount of game time throughout 2026 and maybe hasn't quite found his absolute stride. But I still think that it's going to be a very crucial number on the back of the jersey for New Zealand, that number 19-1 as well as 20 with Peter Larkai playing that role. And you get it to the max this morning, New Zealand time, it's about 30 degrees and sunny here in Johannesburg, says Kevin. 30 degrees, see that's going to be a bit brutal for us here in New Zealand at the moment. We're about 4 degrees and it definitely isn't sunny, it's night time. Can it be sunny? No, never mind. I'm not even going to ask that question. We have got there with Signet out and Parker on the bench. I'm not confident. Says Driss there. Nice one, Amish. Says Mashihu. And Gutapa Antoni played so well. Yeah, the way that he played in that last game up against the Bulls definitely was, I believe, one of the main reasons he managed to get himself selected off the bench. Feel better if Larko was starting in the place of Tupovai. Yeah, I think they've gone for height, though, in the lineup for that number 6 jersey. Vai has played there a bit throughout under Dave Rennie's tenure. But yeah, Larkai's in great form. Segner was in great form too. Parker is the question mark for a lot of people. And even some would argue that Tupovai is a bit of a question mark. We talk about it all the time, how he's playing 6 because of that extra line-out option, because of that extra height. But sometimes, are you better off going with the inform option? And Vai, he hasn't quite found his absolute stride as of yet. He's had some good form throughout the last few matches, but I feel like he's still got that next level, and he will need to find it today because he's up against Peter Steftatoi, Paul de Villiers, and Jasper Vesa, which is definitely not an easy day at the office for anyone. We have got there, Parker is not the best choice to replace Segner. I would have preferred Blackadder, says Driss, and it was quite surprising that they didn't look down the Blackadder route purely because of that kind of physicality that he normally plays up against no matter who it is. And this is one of the most physical sides, if not the most physical around the world. So you kind of feel like maybe that was a great option for them. But we will go through the starting lineup. I do see I'm already about 200 messages behind, so I do apologise if I miss any. We will be going back and reading them after the stream ends. But in the front row for New Zealand, it is Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor and Tyrell Lomax as that number 3. So we haven't seen a huge amount of game time for any of those 3 players throughout the Greatest Rivalry tour. I think that Dave Rennie's been using them nicely. He hasn't gone absolutely crazy, chucking them in the deep end and going with massive minutes. Cody Taylor, he wasn't able to do that with because of the injury. Had the calf injured in the game against the Irish, but now returning for that most recent clash against the Bulls, getting himself the double, which there was a lot of pressure on that jersey. And up until that game for Cody Taylor, a lot of people had either a Safua Moore or Samisoni Tokiaho in their starting lineup. So I think Taylor really proved that he was still up to this kind of contest up against the South Africans. And the locking duo, this was where the surprise was. And that was Josh Lord at number 4, Fabian Holland 5. People were penciling in Patrick Tuipulotu's name already at the start of the week in terms of this All Blacks lineup. And if it wasn't Patrick Tuipulotu, it was probably Sam Derry based off his current form. But giving Lord the chance, I believe that is because of that height. But something that Fabian Holland offers you more than I think anyone else in the locking department is those line-out steals. You want to get as much ball as possible up against the South African team. So if you've got Holland getting 1 or 2 line-out steals, it could be absolutely massive for this New Zealand side. Tupovai is playing 6, Luke Jacobson 7, so something that we've seen Dave Rennie go to quite a few times this year with Artie Savia then slotting in as the 8. Cam Roygaard and Ruben Love in that 9 and 10 combination. That is once again similar to what we see for the South Africans. A lot of tempo and a lot of pace on offer from that 9 and 10 combo. In the midfield, Geordie Barrett and Quinn Tupaia. A lot of power for New Zealand there. Josh Morby out on the left wing. No Caleb Clark for this game due to his injury. More than likely would have been starting in this match, I believe, but Morby is a very viable option. And this is kind of a welcome to test match rugby per se, because he has to go up against Cheslin Colby. And that is going to be one of the biggest tests, if not the biggest test, for Josh Morby throughout, I would say, his first maybe 50 test matches, let alone the first about 4, which is where he finds himself at the moment. Will Jordan back from the back injury out on the right wing, and then Damian McKenzie at number 15, also dealing with an injury of his own, but he is now returned and ready to go for this game. We have got there Soban has said, hi, welcome and hope you are doing well. I want New Zealand to win, but I can't see this happening, says Sternay. Tell you what, the chat is going at an absolute 1,000 miles an hour. We've got there looking sharp, mate, very assistant principal, says JP there. Hello, Kiwi Lad, says Liam, welcome in. And someone asked what time the kickoff is. In South Africa, the kickoff will be taking place at 5:10 p.m. For us here in New Zealand, it is kicking off at 3:10 a.m. So we are still around an hour 15 away. Sounds like a decent amount of time, but we haven't even had any pop-ups on the screen as of yet. Simon Parker incorrect. Yeah, Anton Segner out with a late ankle injury. Now, the extent of that injury at this stage hasn't really been confirmed. I don't think it's anything too serious, but it's not ideal when you've got, like Hartley mentioned, De Villiers as a specialist jackler. Having him in this scenario, that would have been a great matchup for Segner, as he is also known for that turnover ability, but in this scenario, we don't get to see it anymore. Parker's going to have to win the collision battle, which is something that many people feel like he hasn't been able to do as of yet throughout his All Blacks kind of tenure. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be a welcome by fire for Simon Parker getting that late call up. But at the same time, we've seen it before, how players who weren't initially named in the starting lineup or the reserves, when they get called in, sometimes they have their best game. When they almost didn't realise that the pressure was going to be hitting them, they don't have that extra time to think. We've got to remember, with Dave Rennie, he's been naming his sides internally on Monday, which means had Parker been named then, he would have had maybe 5 or 6 days to overthink this game. In this scenario, he's had maybe about 6 hours to know that he's playing, and now he's ready, prepared to make his way off of the bench. We don't know what the tactics are in terms of the game time or anything along those lines, but I do think that this may be more beneficial for Parker not knowing that he was going to be playing up until now. Love the outfit, fitting for the occasion, says Vidzaya there, and also looking sharp, says up, thank you very much. And Box can't win without cheating, says Driss there, and can we take away the glue from Sonny, please, says Sandor. Yeah, there's going to be some interesting comments, I think, throughout this 80 minutes. The whole rivalry as like the collective, I think a lot of people looking forward to this game on both sides. A lot of people know that this is one of the tours and the test matches that are going to be one talked about for a long time. But you're always going to have the few outliers who don't like the opposition and have many reasons why they don't want to support both teams in this scenario. But at the end of the day, I think the rugby's going to speak for itself, and only one of these sides technically can win after the 80 minutes, unless, of course, we do get ourselves a draw. Thank you, Hamish, living outside South Africa. Super Sport is making it impossible to watch the game. They are stabbing Springbok supporters in the back, says you think. Yeah, there's a lot of licensing, interesting situations going on in terms of the world of rugby. Rugby Pass TV, I don't know whether they've got this game available outside of the normal regions that would have this game. I know for us here in New Zealand, it's on Sky Sports, so that one's pretty much the only option that we've got. Beauden Barrett doesn't play much for some reason this year, especially international test match. What happened? I think it's just the passing of the torch. They've got Ruben Love, who is currently in some very good form from that number 10 jersey. So Dave Rennie is back in the slightly younger guys. We've got to remember Beauden Barrett. He isn't getting any younger. Will he make it to that next year's World Cup? I think maybe, but it's definitely more so a 50-50 now than maybe it was about a year or so ago. We have got there when the All Blacks won at Ellis Park in 2022. They played high tempo and hands ball like the Rennie style, says Driss there. And also we've got there South Africa will smash, unfortunately, says Sternay. And also we've got there looking sharp, Hamish Pro, says Neil Bester. And in the poll looking interesting. Yeah, it's going to be one of those ones that I think goes down to the kind of 50-50 stage by the end of it. But yeah, we are getting closer to the kickoff. About an hour and 10 minutes away. There will be, of course, the national anthems and the haka as always before the matchup. I think last time they were at Ellis Park, it's pretty loud for that haka. But looking through at some of the recent results with the head-to-head between these two sides, we will start first of all. I know that I said recent results. We're going back to 2021. We're going just after the COVID era. And we will see all of the head-to-heads between the Springboks and New Zealand for the 1-1 series of the Rugby Championship. New Zealand winning by 2, South Africa winning by 2. It just shows how close these two sides can be. The next year on the Rugby Championship, one side won by 16, the next side won by 12. So 1-1 is not an unfamiliar charted territory for these sides when it comes to the Rugby Championship, and you will notice that that is a trend that continues throughout the next few years, with the exception of 2024. But for New Zealand, they were able to get the win in the Rugby Championship 2023. That was the one before the Rugby World Cup. But then after that, a big win for the South Africans. That game was at Twickenham, 35 points to 7. And then the World Cup final, 12 points to 11. It is still talked about to this day. And we are currently about 3 years after it took place. We are less than a year and a half away from the next Rugby World Cup, but a close 1-point fixture between the two teams. Next, this was the last time New Zealand went to South Africa for 2 matches in a row. 31 points to 27, 18 points to 12. 2 very close games, easily could have gone either way. And that is one of the more exciting parts of this Greatest Rivalry Tour. Either of these teams can win these matches. And, there are plenty of stats you can look at, and there's plenty of form and everything along those lines that you can try and base a prediction off. But at the end of the day, one moment in this game could completely change it. And I think that we're in for a really awesome matchup at Ellis Park. Yeah, last year, the All Blacks were able to keep that streak alive at Eden Park. 24 points to 17. The game after that, 43-10 in favour of South Africa. And the thing is, that's the most recent meeting between those two sides. So that's the one that's still on the mind of certain players. We've got to remember Ruben Love was playing from 10 in that matchup. We saw a couple other young guys getting the opportunity. We saw Leroy Carter getting shown up on the right wing by Cheslin Colby, but now he's back off the bench for New Zealand here. He's evolved his game, but Colby, of course, is still world class. So can Carter find his next gear, or will it be the same as what we saw the last time the sides played? We have got 20 more messages that have just absolutely flown through. We've got there, they need Parker size at 8 or 6. And Parker needs to bring his best performance ever to give the All Blacks the edge to win this. The entire rugby world is watching here. This is the type of game that there are going to be massive eyeballs on, and rightfully so. At the end of the day, it's 1 versus 2 in terms of the world ranking. It is the two sides that met in the Rugby World Cup final in the most recent Rugby World Cup competition. It is a rivalry that has extended over a century. They've had some brilliant battles over the years, and there's going to be some brilliant battles throughout this tour as well. We've seen the All Blacks getting warm-up games along the way. South Africa have just had the one up against the Argentines. That was their most recent fixture. What we're going to do here too is we're going to select, what one do we want? There's so many that I want to pop up, but we'll start with this one. This is the Greatest Rivalry Tour, just on paper for now. Now, the game that is being played in around an hour's time is not there, but it is taking place about halfway down the mark. So the All Blacks were able to get themselves the victory over the Stormers in the opening contest of this Greatest Rivalry Tour. It was quite a competitive one. The Stormers pushing New Zealand early, but from there, the All Blacks having a phenomenal last 20 minutes to be able to secure that game, 38 points to the 21. The game up against the Sharks, unfortunately, was about as one-sided as many thought that it would be, and even more so than that as well. 54-0 the score there. The Bulls, on paper, seemed like they were going to be competitive. And the Bulls actually had a very solid second half throughout that matchup, but New Zealand bringing up the half century, 50 points to 19. So far throughout this Greatest Rivalry Tour, we have seen over the 140 points for New Zealand, 142 in total, with 40 points for their opposition. But their opposition, the Stormers, the Sharks, and the Bulls, they are in no means South Africa. They are not the Springboks. And so once again, statistics can be a little bit deceiving. Because looking at this, you'd say, okay, New Zealand are destined for a lot of points here at Ellis Park. But the reality is they're going up against a South African side that have not conceded a huge amount of points so far this year. As you can see there for the Nations Championship, they conceded 21 against England, 28 against Scotland, and 0 against the Welsh for New Zealand. They have had pretty high-scoring games as a whole under Dave Rennie. I believe their lowest score under Dave Rennie so far has been 34 points. But again, they haven't met South Africa, who are on a decent winning streak. We're able to get some great wins in that Nations Championship competition. But looking at the chat again, I'm missing hundreds of messages at this point. So yeah, I really do apologise if I'm missing a ton. We have got Barry Bear said you're an awesome host, always on the post when the games are being played. Big thumbs up, says Barry. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. I will mention anyone who is new to the channel. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got Scott here, said looking very dapper. And also, why is Parker playing? What happened to Segner? Seeing very different options. No Satiti, says Sports Unfiltered. So yeah, Simon Parker coming into the lineup due to Anton Segner ankle injury just before kickoff, or in fact probably about 6 hours ago was when they announced that one, and there were some confused people. They were thinking, why not Blackadder, why not Satiti, why not actually going with Patrick Tuipulotu? They were the three names that I saw thrown around. I can kind of understand Tuipulotu not getting that selection due to the fact that they must already have a prior game plan when it comes to the replacements of the loose forwards, but that to me says that they're looking at replacing Tupovai, or they're going to add Tupovai into the locking duo. So it seems like they're shoring up that 6 jersey to still have that little bit more height later on as their option. And whether or not it works out. Again, we will have to wait and see. Box by 12 says memento there. The style of play and style in the game is blown out of proportion by the media. Yeah, that's been all that's been talked about throughout this week, about the game speed, about any injuries. And the thing is, there are going to be many real injuries in this game. But I know as soon as they happen, people are going to say, oh, it's the same old again. But I think it's going to be both sides dealing with injury. Like the last time these two sides played, in terms of, I was watching one of the old games. In fact, it wasn't the most recent one, but there were probably 5 or so injuries that were legitimate. They beat each other up out there on the field, as they always will when this type of matchup is taking place. There's going to be the physicality, and there's always going to be a couple injuries here and there. It's at altitude, so it is going to burn the lungs that little bit more. We've got there, love the Super Pro excellent, says Robert. Thank you very much, greatly appreciated. Parker was picked because of his size and line-out steals. Says Claus there in that game where Satiti kept dropping the ball, really hurt him. Says Hartley. And I think it's also hurt him because of the fact that Segner, Larkai, and a lot of those other loose forwards are in such good form now. When Satiti was first breaking onto the scene in that number 6 jersey, which was, of course, his out-of-position option, but was playing it very well, there wasn't a lot of pressure on that jersey. Whereas at the moment, you've got Larkai, Segner, who both play all 3 positions in that loose forward trio. And I also do think with the inclusion of Luke Jacobson in the number 7 jersey, who for some people weren't even selecting in their All Blacks 23 at the start of the year, that's something that Rennie has stuck with the whole way through, though. And I believe that is because of these Springbok test matches. But yeah, I would say that without Jacobson in the equation, we would have seen a lot more of Satiti, just because of maybe the reshuffle that would have happened. But at the end of the day, I think that it's great to have a player like that still available. Just he's not getting the chance in this type of matchup. Dialende for the 100, says Ntando there. Yeah, there's some big milestones that are being brought up throughout this Greatest Rivalry tour. Damien Dialende, him versus Geordie Barrett. It's going to be a good one. Good morning or afternoon, Hamish. Says, hey, no there. Welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. We've got there Bob has said, looking sharp, Hamish. Thank you very much. What time does the game start? The game starts in around an hour. So, it's still a little while, but we've still got plenty to go through for this matchup. The anticipation has been building for the last week when it comes to this matchup. No green tie, all black suit, I see. Man, your intentions clear, says hey, no, it was just more so if I had a green tie, it wouldn't have shown up. So I got green pants on, though. You guys just can't see them because they're below the camera. But I can have people vouch for me. These are green, or at least as green as they can be for a green screen. Luke Jacobson to get the first yellow. Says Keegan there, if you want to win, All Blacks don't give cards away. Yeah, that's going to be a big talking point of this contest, whether or not both sides can keep their discipline. Seen plenty of cards handed out throughout 2026, and also we've probably seen more TMO inclusion throughout the matches of the Nations Championship, which I believe both sides need to be aware of. We have got there up the box, says Rugby Itch. Hamish, I wanted to say that Tupavai won't be enough. Second row cover on his own. And then I don't like Cricket Townsend, says Powerbite 92. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens for New Zealand if they have an early locking injury. I think that that's where we could see some real reshuffling taking place. And we have got there Parker taking Segner's place is unfortunate. I'm going to wait till after the game to judge whether or not it's unfortunate. Like I said, I think that Parker having less time to prepare may actually be a good thing. He won't have all that week to think about what he's going to do out there on the park. He's only going to have about six hours, somewhere around there. I believe Renz has settled, or hasn't settled on his complete team. I like the confidence that goes with choosing this lineup, says Lawimbi there. And also, let's see if the All Blacks live up to the hype around them, says Hano. Well, at the moment, they are the underdogs heading into this contest. I saw that South Africa were $1.50 compared to New Zealand's $2.50. So, don't get me wrong, they're in a much better position than they were heading into this tour by a massive amount. We've got to remember, they got a new coach at the start of this year, and everyone panicked. Everyone said, there's not enough time to prepare for this Greatest Rivalry tour. It's all going to go down the gurgler. And then now, look at the talk that we've seen throughout the last few weeks. People are saying the All Blacks might actually have a bit of a chance here. And some are even putting them as the favourites heading into this game at Ellis Park. So, how much, 6 games can change opinions is massive. We have got there, do you have married yet and eat chicken while husband? Says Cool Story. That was next level English, that was. And eat chicken while as a husband. I can say that I have safely not eaten any chicken as a husband as of yet because I am not a husband. But maybe one day. I don't think that will be my first meal though. Well, to be fair, if you have chicken at the wedding, you'd go for first meal as chicken. Looking forward to Tupavai head-to-head with Better Steph the Toy, says Michael. Yeah, I'm curious to know if Tupavai is looking forward to that head-to-head as well, because that is going to be a very tough day at the office. You have no resting moments up against a player like Peter Steph. He will get into those breakdowns, he will cause you disruptions, and he will just make it a hard day at the office. We have got there, today is my husband's birthday, so shout out to Jasmine's husband. How long is Signer out for? Any info? No kind of really timeline or anything like that. It was just a bit of a swollen ankle, which I'd like to think would mean he's only up for maybe this week. He probably won't play against the Lions, seeing as that's only 3 days' time. But yeah, I'd say either next week or the week after we'll see Segner back. We have got there, Rennie is a great coach, and I think the All Blacks will bring it, says Hanger Rat. And also we have got there, Hamo, AB's no hype, says Nazi Williams. And also we have got there, now I want some chicken, says Matter. And good morning, boys, says Big Ball Zaroos. I believe that is. Welcome in. Hope you are doing very well. Currently we are sitting 2:11 a.m. here in New Zealand, so still plenty of time before the kickoff of this matchup. What do you think of Vardy joining only now and not being part of the tour during the first 2 weeks? I can understand why they've done it in a way, and I believe it's something that's been planned out for quite some time, that he was always going to be missing those warm-up games. It would have been nice to still see him in South Africa with the team during those warm-up weeks, but I guess as soon as you chuck him in that environment, it would have been that people would have said that he should be playing. So I understand why they left him behind. I want to see how well rested and ready he is. I know that he's been doing a bit of social media stuff back in New Zealand. He's been doing his gym sessions online and whatnot. But you would have to assume that he is in some pretty good condition at the moment. And at the end of the day, this is a lung buster, this game. At Ellis Park, it is always going to make you really have to dig deep. So you'd assume that he's fresh, but you'd also wonder whether or not a few weeks off will be something that takes him a little bit longer to get back into the tempo. What time are they starting? They are starting in 58 minutes time. So 3:10 a.m. New Zealand time, 5:10 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. I love Dave Rennie, but I wish this game was here at home. To let the boys show their style with the new coaching team, says Cloud9NZ. Yeah, but I think down the line we are going to get to see a New Zealand version of the Greatest Rivalry Tour. The ideal scenario here is a 2-2 or something along those lines, maybe a 3-1. The last thing that is ideal for the competitiveness of these two top sides is if we saw a 4-0 for either team. Oh, I love the commentary, mate. Bacon from Wiltshire, UK, come on the ABs. Says Bacon there. And also we have got there Bowden Barrett to the World Cup. I doubt it. I even wonder if he'll be there at the end of the year tour. Yeah, well, it all depends on what happens with Richie Mo'unga, as well as someone like a Reves Reihana. I feel like that man deserves a little bit of a shout-out at the moment for how well he is playing for Northland. A big congratulations to the Taniwha as well for winning that Ramfurly Shield on Thursday night. And Hamish had fun, mate, says cool story. And All Blacks for the win. Good afternoon and big up, says Broderick Kyle, and also Rattle was there too. Condolences. We have got there for whoever died from the funeral you look like you're dressed up for, says Jason. Well, hopefully there's not a funeral for one of these two sides at the end of the 80 minutes. I know that we say that every time we're wearing the suit, but yeah, hopefully it's a close game and we're not going to see another 43-10, because or else then that would definitely not kick off this tour in the best light for this New Zealand team. Probably kick it off pretty nicely for the South Africans if they won by 33 here, but I think less than 10, even less than 5, I believe is going to be on the cards here. We have got the How's Hamish, says Daryl. You look angry for me, says Mahudin. What, you want me to do an angry face? I can't do an angry face. My mouth doesn't work properly for it. I still look like I'm smiling when I'm trying to be angry. It doesn't work. We want to see the All Blacks get smashed, says Neo. I thought Raves over Jacob, says Matter. Yeah, I think Josh Jacob, although to his credit, he did prove himself off the bench in the last contest that he got to play. In the starting lineup, there was a bit more pressure. And to provide to have a massive game, you heard it here first, says Whisper there. And I've never been so excited for an All Blacks test in a long time. The breakdown is going to be intriguing there. And we have got there coming from Sambawa, all us Kiwis having a barbecue. South Africans having their own party. Next few weeks will get spicy for sure. Well, that's the thing. The rugby world, at least South Africa and New Zealand, and I believe a lot of other countries, have looked at this game and this is the game that just all of the eyes are on. Because this is the Greatest Rivalry Tour. This is something that we are unfamiliar with per se. You know, this doesn't come along every year, luckily, because or else then the Rugby Championship would be gone. Segner off the bench. Sad news, says Mickey Bluff. Yeah, sadly, ankle injury brings Simon Parker into that number 19 jersey for this contest. But yeah, the anticipation around the next 4 weeks of rugby is going to be absolutely huge. And the thing is, right, this game ends 3 days' time, the All Blacks play again against the Lions. 7 days' time, we get to see them play South Africa again, which is what we're used to seeing for the Rugby Championship. 2 games back-to-back, week after week. But then that's not it. Then we get to see the world number 1 take on the world number 2 another 2 times, including a game on neutral territory. It's a pretty big rugby year. And we've got a Nations Championship that is currently taking place too. That kicks off in November. We get to see Argentina play the Australians in there as well. And Classy in the suit, Amish, enjoy the game. There's Kyle there. And Sashi FM, best fly half in the world. There's Mr. Clean. I'd say at the moment, no. Which is one that I think would definitely maybe, like, it's all down to opinion though. I feel like Sasha has got huge potential, and I would call him top 5 at the moment, but I also do think with his injury count that he's had recently, he hasn't been able to have a massive amount of time where he's been at the top of his game for a long period without picking up that next injury. What time the game starts, please, Hamish? Game is starting in around 54 minutes time. So we are not too far away. I'll be listening to the way you talk. I learned from you how to speak current English. Says Jean. That's quite cool. I have to say, listening to me, you've probably picked up some bad habits in the English language because I repeat myself a lot. But yeah, it is greatly appreciated. You're being here again. 2-2 says Mike for the score predictions. And we have got there Classy in the suit. Amish, enjoy the game. Says Kyle there too. And also we have got there All Blacks smoking them 60. Tell you what, 60-0 would not be a good start to this greatest rivalry tour. Once again, fantastic start for the All Blacks if that was to take place, but I feel like we need a close game. And I actually talked about it a little bit earlier on in the week. A draw would be kind of good here. I know that doesn't really, it doesn't live up to the hype, but I would say it kind of does in a way. But getting a draw here means that we're going to get a result of this greatest rivalry tour, because we've got to remember 2-2 is a very likely option in terms of the chances for this tour. Whereas if you get a draw somewhere along the lines, that means someone, unless there's 2 draws, is guaranteed a 2-1 in this series, which is kind of ideal. I want to see that Baltimore test be the decider, like the equivalent of a final of this greatest rivalry tour. I worry for the New Zealand breakdown. There are 3 world-class jackling threats in the box starting lineup, Marks, De Villiers, and Visa. And New Zealand, like high phase play, just means more breakdown opportunities to get turned, says Gutsia. And the thing is, right, you've listed 3 world-class jackling threats, and the names that haven't been mentioned in there, you know, no Peter Steph-Toy and that equivalent, no Damien Dialendi, who I think is one of the absolute best when it comes to backs around world rugby for being able to get the steals. So, like, there are definitely more than just the 3, which is, it's crazy. The fact that there are so many options, like, yeah, New Zealand have to be on their A game. Who won the coin toss? I don't actually think they've done the coin toss as of yet. They normally do it about, I want to say, 20 minutes before the kickoff or somewhere around there. I worry for the New Zealand economy. The country is going to go into mourning. Says Sandor there. Yeah, I don't think there'll be many people. Well, I was going to say I don't think there'll be many people who aren't having a bit of a sleep in tomorrow morning after getting up for this game, but some may have slept early enough last night to be able to continue on through. I know that I have no idea what I'm doing with my sleep schedule after this, but I definitely won't be buying anything in the morning, so the economy might struggle because I normally buy myself a chocolate eclair. We have got there. I hope the red card will not be the decider. The most disciplined team will win. It's that close to call, I feel. Yeah, and I am of, like, the biggest belief, right? This game, I hope that it's intense. I hope it's physical. I hope it's just everything that it lives up in terms of the hype for this game. But the last thing that we want is any sort of really controversial call that determines this game. You know, we want it to be a nice one that at the end of it, everyone says, you know what, that was well ref, but as we know, that never happens nowadays. Even if the referee does pretty well, there's one decision that people don't like, but I just hope that it's even enough that both sides can look at this test match afterwards and say that was just a really good game of rugby, and they're looking forward to the rest of the tour. And we have got there, Dreamt Nonu played for the Box. Says Neo there. I appreciate the time has come. Says, won't believe everything. As a Box fan, I'm sad about Segner being out. Yeah, I think a lot of New Zealanders are too. They were looking forward to seeing what he could do off the bench after how well he played in that last matchup. He did get himself some really awesome turnovers, and I think he's yet to be penalised in the All Blacks jersey too, so could have been a great option for New Zealand to use late. Again, Simon Parker at the moment seems to be a bit of a interesting call. Not many people thought that we were going to see him as that 19 in terms of the replacement. Some thought Satiti, some thought Tui Pilotu, some thought Blackadder as well. As the time in New Zealand is currently 2:20 a.m. here in New Zealand. And we have got there Carling and Damn TMO will kill this game. Says Hartley, how's it, Hamish? Well, Drew. Never seen you look so smart. Says Jason, did Segner get injured or scared? Injured, unfortunately, the ankle injury. I don't think that Anton Segner, like, if anything, he would have been more hyped up and probably training too hard throughout the week. Let's be honest, a lot of these guys, the juniors that is, they would have wanted to go out there and absolutely prove themselves for this game. When you look at, the upcoming young talent out of New Zealand, Segner, if you watched him throughout the Super Rugby season, you know that man is not scared of any breakdown. And that's one of the things that makes him so impressive. Because people say, maybe he's not quite big enough. He's actually got a decent-sized frame, though, when you look at his stats in terms of height and weight. But he doesn't shy away from getting in there and taking a hit. That's why every game it looks like he's been, assaulted by about 15 different men. And that's because he has been in those breakdowns, because he will just take a battering, he'll lose half his eyebrow, and that's normally something that shows that his head's been in the wrong place a few times, and a few people have taken shots at them. World Rugby effing up the game, and not allowing the refs to meet the coaches. They need to be castrated. Says Joe. We have got their Super Rugby Lowell, Hamish, please, says Sandor. Okay, so you're saying that just because you feel like Super Rugby isn't the level that you want to base breakdowns off, you're saying Segner hasn't done anything throughout Super Rugby season? I feel like that makes you sound more silly than me. We have got their Bordeaux 60 points to the All Blacks 19. Says Matthew. Not quite as silly as that comment, though. I do have to say that one tops it. We have got the All Blacks by 10 at the first half. Says the AR underdog pick, and if it's a close game, the score could be 24 points to the 18 box, but I think it could be 45-13 to the box, says Yarko. And we have got there, you need a silver fern for that blazer pocket. And we have got there as well, there's going to be a war in the stadium. These teams both have a lot to prove in game by winning today. Well, that's the thing as well. A 4-match series, right? 4 matches, weird number. Normally you do 3 matches just because then you can have a winner as a decisive 2-1 situation. But in this scenario, right, it's going to be a little bit crazy for a start, I feel, because both of these sides know how important this first game is, and that may also make them do a few little errors along the way. And, this game, again, it could be that close that it's decided by one little moment. Recent head-to-head at Ellis Park, says Hayno. I believe the most recent head-to-head was 2024, I want to say, between these two sides, and it was separated by a very thin margin. We've got all of the recent games that took place, as you can see there, 31 points to 27 in 2024, 18 points to 12 also in 2024. Now, I think that bodes pretty well for New Zealand in this scenario. I know that some people would say otherwise, but New Zealand were well and truly in both of those games. And I feel like if you're looking at recent games, you almost have to look older. And that is back here. The last time that they played 2 games in South Africa as well before that 2022 was 2024. Or sorry, 2000... Wait, I get around the other way for that one. But 12 points to New Zealand for that game on August 14th, 2022. A 16-point win to South Africa and August 7th. So again, it's literally a coin toss in some regards when these two sides play in South Africa. And last tour was the first time, or the last 2 games was the first time in a while we've actually seen New Zealand lose both games, but both by less than 7. So I don't think that's a huge concern in terms of Ellis Park being the factor. We're going to get to see them play in the very near future there too. Each with that suit. We got games, says the AR underdog. And we have got there, AB's not ready, says Prep 2. And also we've got there that 31-27 game. If we kicked accurately, we would have won as well, says Tanaka. And also do mention Matanonu. Yeah, Matanonu playing the game for the Sharks. It's been shown on social media. Everyone's been making the fake All Blacks called in, and everyone's been putting Matanonu's name back in the equation. Was Beauden Barrett, or is Beauden Barrett playing? He is not for this contest, and some thought that maybe he would get himself a spot off the bench in this game, although that's not the direction that the All Blacks decided to go. Another boy's gone All Blacks by 12, South Africa still have a hope. They have a decent team, to be fair. They have more than a decent team. It's looking very stacked on paper. We have got there, I hope the score could be 59 points to 3 for the Boks. But what do you think about the Bulls versus New Zealand scored 19 points to 50? I somehow predicted it bang on. I said the All Blacks were going to win by 31, and they actually somehow did. And I don't get it right often. So, yeah, it's probably very lucky. We have got them, no love from Amish. Today, says Sean Coleman there. And Richie Offside McCaw is talking on the TV, says Hano. The one thing that I've learnt throughout recent weeks is how much Hano hates New Zealand. We used to do a whole heap of stuff with Hano. And then I've slowly pieced it together. He has a real disliking for this, well, not so much this All Blacks team, but the All Blacks supporters, I've learned, is where the line is drawn. But yeah, there has been a lot of trash talk in terms of throughout the build-up, not by Hano specifically, but just in terms of the two sides. South Africa 4-pack aging. They may be aging, but they've still got a couple real bright prospects coming through the rankings. You look at someone like a Paul de Villiers, who anyone who doesn't know much about that man, he is absolutely phenomenal at getting in the breakdowns, at being able to change games for the Stormers. Him and Evan Roos have been really doing nicely for the Stormers throughout the season. But, yeah, it's going to be a good one. We have got there. I hope the crowd is bigger than the last game played out of this ground. It 100% should be. I'd like to think that this game would be sold out. And Mr. Kiwi, how are you? Long time since I've asked. Have you built any mansions in the past few weeks? No mansions, just a big garage. We have got their man South Africa favourites to win, says Justice here. $1.50 favourites compared to the $2.50 of New Zealand. It's been pretty close as a whole in terms of the odds. I'm trying to think of a recent international head-to-head that has been this close, and I'm struggling to think of one. You are cool. We will adopt you as a South African, says Sean there. Man South Africa favourites. And I'm from Dubai, says Guppy there. And the chat can't go wrong. Go the All Blacks, says Mark Cole in there too. But we are now, ladies and gentlemen, only around 40 minutes away from the kickoff. And I know that sounds like a long time, but as Bon Jovi would say, we're halfway there because we've already been going for over 40. We've done a first half worth of build-up. And we've still got another second half around the corner too. Apparently the game isn't sold out, which would be pretty disappointing. That is. But then I also think that comes down to them trying to go for exorbitant prices. It's one of those ones that, if you made this a reasonable price for everyone, even if you had some sort of big sale near the end of the year or near the end of the build-up towards this game, I think you'd sell it out. But the problem is they see this big occasion and they go, oh, we're going to take it away from the general population and we're going to make it that you have to spend massive dollars to be able to watch these games. Now, of course, this is a once in what could be a lifetime opportunity for people watching this match live. But at the same time, when they bump up the prices a bit too much, you can understand why some don't go to the games per se. You can have a massive braai in your backyard. You can have all your friends over. You can have your family over. You can enjoy some boerewors and all sorts, some biltong, some beverages, and you can still get away with spending less than just one ticket to go to Ellis Park. We have you there. Greetings, Hamish, says Gert. Hamish, you're more popular than Bon Jovi. I don't know about that. He's got some bangers from back in the day. But they're just showing at the moment the All Blacks. A little bit of a hype package as well. Xavier Numia, someone who many thought were actually going to be, or was going to be involved in this contest, sadly did have a bit of a tight Achilles, I believe, was the reason he was left out. The All Blacks back in black, so we don't see them, their pants. So as you think, and also we have got there, the Bok needs some biltong today, and gouge the locals prices for the hardcore travellers, says Sandor. And I guess that's a little bit similar to what we see for the British and Irish Lions tour, how they know that the ones who are travelling are going to pay the price. There are a lot of Kiwis who have gone over to South Africa for this series, so they know that they'll be the ones who buy the tickets. We have got the thing is the game was advertised as sold out even as far as 2 weeks ago. Recently it came out that the more expensive seats were still open. That would be terrible for advertising this tour. Says Gotsia there. In the box, says Suzanne. And also me and Dad bought tickets for the third test. Nice. There's going to be some, that's the thing. And by the third test too, we'll have a fair idea of how this tour's going. It's either going to be 2-0 to a side, maybe 1-1. Maybe we have a draw. SABC showing this game 2 hours after kickoff. Says Michael there. I guess at least they're showing it, but again, it's going to be very hard to avoid any sort of spoilers for the next 2 hours. If you've got close neighbours, you're probably going to hear them screaming at the TV too. And bro, I was dressed up for the Springboks funeral. Says short videos there. And also we've got Smack It Good Baby from Ruth for Jove, New Zealand by 7. It says Ruth. And the Box by 14-21, and the Box 38, All Blacks 22. And we have got there also the Box win by 15 points. Good luck today to our greatest rivals. Thank you, says Oval Ball. But yeah, this game getting closer, like I mentioned. And also, we've still got quite a bit of rugby taking place this year. What we are going to show is the next 3 games, in fact 4 games of this greatest rivalry tour. The Lions are a midweek fixture, so actually the same time as we saw the Sharks playing. It's going to be the Wednesday morning here in New Zealand, or 7 p.m. Tuesday night for you guys in South Africa. Same kickoff time, in fact, a little bit earlier for that next game that is taking place of the Test Series. That one's going to be the 2nd, then the 3rd, the week after, and then the 4th game. It's in Baltimore, an 11 p.m. kickoff for you guys in South Africa. But I can guarantee you right now there will be a lot of alarms set to get up for that contest if that is the case. Definitely if it's 2-1 or something along those lines heading into the last game. But then these two sides, they don't actually get a lot of rest. Take notes, 13th of September or 12th of September if you are in South Africa. Then from there, we do see straight away afterwards, 27th of September, back in action for the Box. They are playing up against the Australians. New Zealand, they have got the game on the 10th of October, so a little bit more of a rest. That's where we may actually see a few more Kiwis maybe playing in the NPC if it works out that time frame, but they could also have a much-needed spell after this greatest rivalry tour. The 2 matches of the Bledisloe, and then we jump into the Nations Championship matches. 77 days until we see the Italians take on South Africa. Then 2 tough tasks. And you could argue, with the exception of this All Blacks greatest rivalry tour, I would say that game in France will be one of the more challenging for South Africa this season, as well as that game at the Aviva against the Irish, although we all know what happened the last time that clash happened there. For New Zealand, they've got the Scottish at Murrayfield, the Welsh at the Principality, and then to close out the year, they're playing the English. It's a crazy calendar year for these two sides, and there is still plenty more to come. The fact that, again, we get to see them play the All Blacks 4 times, the Box, is absolutely insane. They are just showing the starting lineup for the Springboks, and no late changes in terms of the starting lineup, which is great news. Just a late change of Simon Parker making his way onto the bench. That is rather than Anton Segner, who has picked up the ankle injury. But looking at this Nations Championship, anyone who doesn't know how this competition works, pretty much what happens is number 1 in the South plays number 1 in the North at a grand final. Whoever wins that, it is winner take all. You get yourself the Nations Championship title for 2026. 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5, 6 versus 6 also does take place. But at the moment, there's a little bit of a roadblock in the Southern Hemisphere. Both New Zealand and South Africa have won 3 games from 3, so more than likely one of them will be playing in that final. I think it all comes down to who has that better points differential, and also who plays better in those November internationals, because currently it is still neck and neck, but they are just having a bit of a chat with Rassie Erasmus before this game gets underway. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to let me know your predictions. We have got there, we are expecting you to broadcast a win for the Box. Says, won't believe everything. And how's it, Hamish? Let's go the All Blacks. Says BIA there, and random shout. By Hunter Morrison would make a great 6 for the All Blacks. Says Jeff. And we have got there, Mr. Greatest Rivalry from the good old days. Just like we have the first world civilization from the good old days, says Neo. And no lock replacement. Well, kind of. They've got 3 locks in the starting lineup for New Zealand. So pretty much what they've decided to do is go with Holland and Lord as the starters. Tupovai can then transition into the 5 or 4 jersey if he is needed. And then Simon Parker, to his credit, has got locked kind of up his sleeve, which might have been the reason that he got the nod over someone like a Satiti off of the bench. Good afternoon, Hamish. Trust you are well. Looking forward to this match. Go the Box. Says Philip Bailey there too. And also we have got the... it's going to be a tough game. The winners are those that grab the opportunities that come their way. And yeah, opportunities may be far and few between. Few and far between. One of those 2 ways round. For this matchup, there might be a patch of play where we see 20 minutes where just nothing happens. But that's the reality of these two sides. They will be trying their best to defend well. Dave Rennie's side have leaked a few early tries, though, throughout their matches. The first game against the French, the game up against the Italians. It did also happen in one of their other contests too, although that game at Eden Park against the Irish, they were able to really shut that down. They've got there, the All Blacks have won 10 of their last 13 away tests. Is that correct? 10 of their last 13. I know that they lost to the English. I know that they lost to South Africa twice. Maybe that was before that. And they have got their 14 to South Africa's 23. We're in the side that trounced the All Blacks 43-10 and Wellington is the headline that they've got up there. And I think there were a few of the familiar faces for New Zealand too in that contest. The likes of a Ruben Love, the likes of a Leroy Carter. We have got there, do you think it will be a large or small scoreline today? The rest of the series, I think it's going to be relatively close in this one. And I wouldn't be surprised if this game's a little bit lower scoring. Although the thing is, I'm so undecided about these matches. Definitely this first one, because we have no idea where South Africa are at. We know that they're going to be strong. There's absolutely no denying that. They are the world champs for a reason. But we also know that their game up against Argentina, they weren't at their best. And, you know, New Zealand is starting to peak nicely heading into these matches. So if New Zealand continue their momentum from the URC matches, and South Africa do take a little bit longer to be able to find that rhythm like they had in their Nations Championship games, I think that could maybe give New Zealand half an edge at the start of this game, but then again, altitude later on in the game with the 6-2-5-3 hybrid split from Rassi could also really make a big difference. We have got there, go the bot from Philip with the donation as well. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated for your generosity. Do you think any side is going to opt for penalties to the post? I think early on we might see a few threes taken. I'm curious to know what the plan will be for Rassi if Sasha's not accurate off the tee. I believe then we will see Cheslin Colby getting that opportunity. They've got Mani Libok to make his way off of the bench here too. We have got there, I love this channel. It's my go-to if I'm out and about and can't actually watch it. Says Martin there, and it is greatly appreciated. So many of you guys tuning in time and time again. And we have got there, that wasn't full stream, South Africa team against Argentina. And we have got there, no, Andre Pollard is a problem. And we need to win the first one, says Endless. And why is Parker there instead of Anton? What a loss. So Anton saying that ankle injury is what ended up hurting him. So that is why he's ruled out. Some thought that it was going to be either Satiti or Blackadder or maybe even Tui Pelotu who would make his way off the bench. New Zealand be too good, says Tata there. And 22 kgs of the 38 kg weight differences in the front row. Yikes. And Sasha must be a lot better than he was versus Argentina, says Haino. Yeah, he was a little bit hot and cold, but at the same time, understandable. Did just come back from that 3-month injury, so you'd assume that there were going to always be a few little hiccups along the way for Sasha in that big return. And De Villiers, it's French people, says Matthew. De Villiers also a name of Paul De Villiers in that 6 jersey. That man is phenomenal. In terms of the breakdowns, he is one who is definitely going to be a handful for New Zealand. There will be a strong win. Says they are underdog and Sasha will swap with Valimza so he can kick the ball away. Says Robbie, well, Valimza, the thing is, right, under the high ball, we know how strong the South African side is, and we know that New Zealand at times throughout 2026, and actually throughout the last maybe 3 or 4 years, have shown a little bit of vulnerability when it comes to that high ball. But the other side of things is, right, New Zealand can't get lured into a kicking game. Because if they get lured into a kicking game, I think that South Africa do control this match. New Zealand need to play that running game. But at altitude and again up against the side that will just tackle you all day, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. They just got their Rassi runs a 5-3 split on the bench. However, Easthuizen can play loose forward is the little headline that they've got. He did play a little bit of that hybrid role last year. All I want is no yellow or red card for the TMO. And TMO with no injuries. Says Mike there. And otherwise give Sasha the Lebok Rugby World Cup semi-final treatment and who replaced Segner. So it is Simon Parker who was making his way off the bench as the number 19. I will just pop my arms in for a second so you guys can see all of the benches. In fact, we'll run through them while we're at it. For the Springboks in this contest, it is Jan Hendrik Vizels as the number 16, Gerald Stennekamp at 17, and Zachary Porthen then there as the number 18. Kobus Wiese, 19, Andre Easthuizen and Marco van Staden to close out the 4-back. Kobus Reinach at 22, and Mani Libok as the number 23 for New Zealand. Off their bench, a Safua Moore, who has been in some insane form from the 16 or number 2 jersey throughout this rivalry tour. George Bower, 17, with Fletcher Null at 18, so the Crusaders duo in that department. Simon Parker, 19, the late inclusion due to the injury of Anton Segner. Peter Larkai at 20, and then Kyle Preston, Anton Leonard-Brown, and Leroy Carter as that number 23. We have got there, disagree, says the underdog, got to adapt. I agree to a certain extent that you do have to adapt, but I also do believe the best key to success and the key to victory here is to not lure or get lured into the opposition's style. Because the thing is, right, I mentioned about it on an earlier video this week, I think, or it might have gone and cut out, but pretty much what I said was New Zealand, if they play into a kicking-orientated game the way that the South Africans are playing, New Zealand are doing that outside of what they would normally do. Dave Rennie, we've seen a lot of running game from his All Black side since he became in charge. So trying to play a tactic that you've been using for this year and that's been working really well is a massive positive. Trying to match a tactic of a side that have been using the strategy so well for multiple years. The side with the multiple years is always going to have that little bit of an edge. So they are going to have to go into that kicking battle every once in a while, but they can't get lured into it full time, or else I think that is really going to be a struggling point for New Zealand. Speaking of Carter, someone that is proper legend of the game, Dan Carter, what a legend he is. Says Hayno there. And we can go to set piece 2. Says the underdog there. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Scrums and lineouts. I think that New Zealand's lineout has come a long way in recent times, and that is one of the big reasons why Cody Taylor is in that starting lineup rather than a Safua Moore, rather than Samasoni Tokiaho. The way that he's been able to get those lineouts going, Taylor, with Holland, with Lord as well, a little bit of extra height in the lineout department. We have got there, Hamish, I see you angry for everyone. Says Mohadeen. Yeah, I'm absolutely fuming, Mohadeen. In such a bad mood. We have got there, Hamish, your calmness is amazing. I could not do this. I totally understand if you show a lot of emotion today. South African is going to be hard to commentate impartially. Says Gavin there. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I know that this game has a lot of emotion going into it, so I'm going to try my best to be able to call it as we normally would for both of these sides. At the end of the day, I think we've covered over 50 test matches for both teams. We've covered World Cup final involving both of these sides too. Like, it's happened so much recently, but the thing that I absolutely love about this head-to-head is the fact that you just know you're going to get good rugby for the 80 minutes. So it's one of those ones that at the end of the 80 minutes, like I said, I'm happy to see some massive hits. I'm happy to see some glorious tries, but the one thing that I don't want to see is this game ruined by a couple controversial decisions. We want an 80 minutes where everyone, well, not everyone, because we know they won't all say it was a good game and the ref didn't impact it, but you just want a game where, you know, you can look at it afterwards and go, that was a really good start to the Greatest Rivalry Tour. And now there's another match around the corner. That area better be cleaned up then, says our underdog there. Which area are we talking about? The set piece, I assume. And we have got there, remember when me, you, and DC ripped all those lines off the logo wood. 2010 says I love you. And also empty seat says Guppy. Yeah, it sounds like there's going to be a few empty seats at the location just due to the prices that they were trying to get. What is the best game you've ever called since you started the channel? The worst thing is, my memory's going down the gurgler, unfortunately. I think that's just from doing so many streams and so many all-nighters. But there was one game, I can't remember which one it was, but at the end of it, I said that it was the best game we've covered on the channel. But I can't remember which game it was. But it was one of them. We've covered a game that was really good before. We've covered a few really bad ones as well along the lines. But there was one game, hopefully someone's memory is better than mine, but there was one that was like, yep, best game we've covered. To be fair, if I had to pick one that was just entertainment value, under 20s New Zealand versus South Africa, I think 2 years ago, when it was just back and forth and about 48-46 or something along those lines. That was a really good game and just a really funny one to cover because no one was defending. And then also I would say as well, like Six Nations, England, France last year or earlier this year was pretty good. It was an all right one in terms of just the entertainment value because like that's the thing. You can have entertainment in a low scoring game, but you can also have a high scoring game that like when you find someone who hasn't watched rugby before, that's the type of game you want to show them, and then you can edge them into like defense and everything along those lines later. But yeah, it's good fun watching a out there game that's just absolutely flying back and forth. We have got there, we know you'll be crying yourself to sleep or partying all day after this, says Gavin. No, I don't know. I think the crazy thing is, after the game ends, I think I'll just be chilled. I'll probably go have a shower, go head to bed, probably fall asleep within 5 minutes. I followed you and you are unbiased, more of an analyst, in my opinion, says Zero Cool there. What do you make of the Shield drama? I assume you're talking about the Ranfurly Shield, right? I think Northland deserved it. The way that they played was absolutely phenomenal in that game up against Canterbury. Canterbury, quick turnaround, but Northland had one extra day, but that's not a massive difference, and they just played the better rugby. Throughout the 80 minutes, I showed rugby and rugby league to my Bolivian friend who'd never seen either code. He liked League way more. So Sports Unfiltered. And we have got there what's scariest, South Africa set for the future. Look at the under-20s and under-16 South African young boys. Says Rufus, yeah, their under-20 side doing brilliantly in their final against the French. That was phenomenal, that contest, in terms of the way that they were able to adapt as the match wore on. And they are such a strong young side. We've seen guys like Yakin Ahmed. We've seen guys like Vusi Moyo. We're going to see Klakane in the future. We're seeing Cheswell-Usta, hopefully, down the line, getting more chances. Gwilumi. There's so many guys that I can list from those under-20 sides. Riley Norton, even, as a guy who's currently injured, who would have been a handy locking option in the future. I'm stoked for Paul. I hope he continues to play out of his skin, says Gutzia there. And also, I still find it crazy that Thomas Tatoya is not starting her on the bench here. But that also shows you how many options Rassi has. The fact that he can look towards guys like Wilco Lone, not exactly a downgrade per se. Like, don't get me wrong, Thomas Tatoya is in absolutely phenomenal form, but when you can still stick a guy like that, and then Zachary Porfin seems to be the young guy that he's sculpting. He's trying to give him plenty of game time now to get him ready for the future. Like, we're going to see Tatoya feature, and I think we're going to see Tatoya more than likely in the next game. Probably starting, I would say. Best All Blacks game you've ever seen? The first one that came to mind for the drama and the intensity of it is that World Cup quarterfinal up against the Irish. That one was certainly a good one. We've seen some really awesome Bledisloe tests along the way too. When is the game starting? The game is starting in around 25 minutes time. We are almost there. We have been going for over an hour on the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. You all being here this early for this match. And it is a relatively long build-up, but I still feel like I've got, like, well and truly probably about 50 minutes worth of stuff to say, but we're going to have to try and squeeze it into 25. We have got there, blaming Mike Blair if the All Blacks lose, as the only non-assistant Kiwi coach, says Mark. I mean, Wilco's selection is clearly for set-piece dominance, and Paulton's impact off the bench has been immense, so it makes sense, says Gutzia there. And how long till the kickoff? Yeah, 25 minutes. In fact, less than that, about 23 minutes now until this game gets underway. I love that quarterfinal when the All Blacks hammered those cocky Irish. I wouldn't say they hammered them. That game almost, with the exception of those 35 phases, almost went the other way. And this is way too early, says Lord Rapture there. I reckon the Box 35 points to 33, and to beat the Box, the All Blacks will have to front up and physically own the Box in the first 15, says Robert. And I believe that for New Zealand, their best chance in this game is throughout the first 20 minutes. And the reason I say that is because, in regards to South Africa, their game up against Argentina, they were a little bit shaky at times, right? They had much better form throughout the Nations Championship in terms of those games. But South Africa haven't played that much rugby in just recent times. We've got to remember, New Zealand have had 3 games of this Greatest Rivalry tour under their belt. We've seen combinations slowly forming. And I believe that's why New Zealand will want to start fast here. Shoot out of the gates, get themselves on the board early to put South Africa under that pressure. Because, and again, we've seen games in South Africa recently where you can go out absolutely firing early, but then normally you can see a comeback. I mean, a game that I'm going to mention, but I'm only going to mention it very briefly, is that Aussie versus South Africa game from the Rugby Championship last year. These games cannot be won in the first half. They are still going to be, that second 40 minutes can completely change a matchup. We have got their Signer still on the bench. He is not. So he has been replaced by Simon Parker due to an ankle injury. It's going to be an insane start, says Robert. Yeah, I'm thinking we're going to see a big shot within the first 5 minutes of this game. And I think it's probably going to involve someone like a Damien Dialendi. I think he's going to try and batter through that All Blacks midfield. But Tupaia, he's a solid individual at 13. Is Mo'unga playing or not? He is not. More than likely playing up against the Lions midweek, I would say. But I don't think we're going to end up seeing him play in this. Well, of course, we're not going to see him play in this test match. We might not even see him play in the next one either. 24 degrees Celsius in Johannesburg for this contest. 13 kilometres of wind, but New Zealand had a bad game last game against the Boks too. True. Although since then they've had a new coach. They've had a 6-game winning streak under Dave Rennie. So I think that a lot will be different compared to that one. We have got there. My biggest concern is what nobody is talking about. Damien McKenzie and 50-22s. If they can't break 3 long raking kicks to pin us back is how it will go. Back 3 need to be awake, says Given. And we have also seen Ruben Love go for those 50-22s every once in a while as well. And we have got there, well, that is your opinion. Says, hello, I assume that's about me saying that the All Blacks need to start quick. Why no Thomas Tatoy? Very good question, but I do think that Wilco Low, again, he has done very nicely in terms of the early stages of a match. Normally is able to bulldoze his way over. We have also seen him linking up with Gerald Stennekamp off the bench rather than Zachary Porthen. But then again, Porthen seems like he got the nod there. Did you watch Black Ferns versus the Wallaroos? I actually didn't. But I did see the score, and it was about as one-sided as I thought it was going to be, unfortunately. I'm really looking forward to the day that New Zealand-Australia women's games are close. The venue's packed out to capacity. Says Tana's there. And I've got All Blacks at a 6.5 handicap this weekend. It's going to be a close one. And New Zealand by 9, says Ollie. And the bot going with the 5-2, 1 split, not 6-2 or 5-3. Says Albert, Wilco is awesome. I don't know why Thomas lost out. I assume Rassi will have some sort of reason. And again, it seems to be down to maybe just... I think it would be something to do with the group, though. A little bit. Like some sort of thing that they've seen from the group that they feel like Wilco Low matches him better. Anyone who thinks that the last time South Africa played and beat the All Blacks has any reflection on this, what's going to happen today, clueless, says Roll Link. And we have got the All Blacks are not ready for what's coming, says Mastermind there. And have you ever shown so much green? Or have you ever seen so much green? Sorry, says Albert. And looking good in the suit. Where's Fine Anuku? Still injured from his leg injury. I think he's not a mile away from coming back, though. He seems to be recovering nicely, but I'd say November is when we're going to see him next in action. We have got there, you are the weakest link. Goodbye to Sonny from Johnny there. Go the box, says Michael. 4 games squad rotation, says Robbie. Yeah, exactly right. We've got to remember as well, this tour, don't get me wrong, 7 days seems like a long time for a turnaround, but if you get battered and bruised in this matchup, you've got a couple days before they normally internally name their sides. So more than likely, we're going to see Rassi, depending on the result here, we could see 10 changes from Erasmus heading into the second matchup. Depending on the result here, we could see 10 changes from Dave Rennie too. I think we're going to see more likely the changes from Rassi than Rennie though. But as a whole, I think that there are going to be changes and there are going to be injuries. That's the sad reality of rugby nowadays. I don't think we get out of this game, of course, touch wood, hope it doesn't happen, but I don't think we get out of this game without 3 players or so getting injured in a certain extent. Whether or not it's just a little knock or whether it is a full-on like season ender, I think we're going to see a few of them in this matchup. There's going to be epic gladiators of the world, says Saving Our Rivers in there too. And regard to knockout Eben. Well, I really hope Eben doesn't suffer a head knock here. At the end of the day, that man, he was on the verge of retirement due to head knocks, and it would be such a shame to see this tour before the end of it be the conclusion of what has been an absolutely incredible career for Eben Etzbeth. Ethan Hooker and Cameron Honeycomb will definitely be in Cape Town, says Albert, and the Box will slow the ball down and be up in the All Black space in defence. Says Alan, I think that's a great tactic to use. At the end of the day, New Zealand, the way that they've been playing rugby throughout the last kind of 6 games under Dave Rennie, they've been going all-out pace, trying to up the tempo, trying to get those passes away quickly from the breakdown. So South Africa would be extremely smart to try and stop that from happening. And then in terms of the getting in the All Black space in defence, that's where you can get your interceptions. That's where if a loose pass is thrown, the Box can pounce on it. We've seen it many times with a Cheslin Colby or a Kurtley Arinsa who managed to rip that ball away or get it in the intercept and fly to the try line. Do you think Pollard will play? Pollard will get some opportunity, I would assume, throughout this Greatest Rivalry tour. Fabian Holland and Lord going to flop. Says Arthur, yeah, it was the interesting selection, I would say, of Dave Rennie's lineup. The fact that he went with Holland as his 5 and no Tui Pelotu at all in this scenario. No Sam Derry as well. I think that almost kind of tells me, though, that we may actually see a Sam Derry, Patrick Tui Pelotu combo in the second game. Could potentially take place. Did you know that the official stat is 1.5 injuries per pro game? Says Gavin. See, 1.5 seems low, doesn't it, in terms of the amount of guys that we see get injured week in, week out. Go Italy. Says I am Nutty and Dan and Richie looking good. Met them both at Aikman Pub in 2012, Legends of the Game. Says zero cool there. And who do you think will win this game? This game for me is really a coin flip. It could easily go either side. And, you know, my prediction video, I went All Blacks by 2. But again, I said afterwards in the very next sentence, but it could easily be the Springboks by 2. I just hope and I feel like we're going to get a good back and forth here, and it may come down to one missed kick to determine who wins this game. What's that wiggle they do when diving to score the try? What's that wiggle they do? What wiggle we talk, like the wiggle? I'm trying to think of what you, like as in when they're like in the collision. And looking so forward to your commentary, mate, says Kathy, and it is great to have you. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are here for the whole Greatest Rivalry Tour. We're here for the Nations Championship competition too. Hi, Hamish. Hi, everyone, says Tanya. Welcome in, and Kia ora from far north Queensland, from the real Ando. We're getting close to the kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. I'd see there'll be quite a few people who are just waking up now, 15 minutes before the game, and getting rearing to go. We are probably only moments away from the two sides making their way out. And g'day from the USA, says Mark Kiwi. Welcome in. Roy Garb will definitely make this All Black side harder to beat. Well, that's the thing. The two games in 2024, split by 4, split by 6. Cam Roygarb wasn't there for either of those two matches, and that was one of New Zealand's biggest concerns, was in that halfback department. We got Megan Bockies in there too with the green and gold. And excited to see what Rassi and Tony have cooked up. They have hidden their tactics before, says Robert. And also we have got there the silly salmon try-scoring celebration. I haven't actually even seen anyone do a silly salmon as of yet, but maybe in this game we will see one. Kia ora from Amsterdam. And also we have got there, have a great call, mate. Energy is on point, says JP Travels. Yeah, it's currently 3 a.m. here in New Zealand. I'm wide awake, and I feel like it's very understandable why. With the fact that Ellis Park looks absolutely full. There's so much green and gold in the stands as well. There's going to be a big amount of support for the home side here. But, like they've said, over 60,000. Crazy for this Greatest Rivalry Tour. 26 degrees. The chance of rain is 4%. We're not having the first game of this Greatest Rivalry Tour at all affected by the wetness, hopefully. 16 kilometres of wind, so a little bit there. Our Razor can do the silly salmon. We have got there, yeah, kia ora, mate, says Kathy there. And then son, it's 3 a.m, says Johnny Blaze. They are just showing the starting lineups again for these two sides. We will do the same in a very near future. The Box have their own style of playing and been successful the past few years. What makes this game any different is just me. I think that the difference in this contest, I still believe that they're going to do very nicely. And I probably feel they're going to do nicely, or much more nicely than some people think. Because at the end of the day, the game up against Argentina was shaky, right? But they won. And they actually had some really strong moments throughout that contest too. The All Blacks will have to try and adapt in this game a little bit. But again, I think New Zealand will have to play their natural running game if they want any chance of taking down the South African team at Ellis Park. Altitude will be a factor later on in the game. Whose gas tank's going to last that little bit longer? It's going to be good. The All Blacks, I guess the benefit they've had is they played their most recent game at altitude, so they aren't completely unfamiliar with it. How much longer to kick off, Hamish? We have got 12 minutes until the kickoff of this contest. We have got there, Hamish, how far can your mum kick it at altitude? Probably like an extra 5 metres or so. I don't think she's kicked a rugby ball since that video we did way back in the day, though. And I think if I tried to kick a rugby ball now, I'd probably blow a kneecap. We have got there, Will Jordan is the truth at 14. Says Shane there. That combination in the 9 and 10 jersey, Grant Williams, Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu. I think both sides are going to go really aggressive here from the get-go. Maybe we see them try and ease themselves into it, but I think it's just pace from the very start and just all-out excitement throughout this 80 minutes. But anyone who hasn't already, of course, let me know your score predictions for this matchup. They are showing the benches as well. We see that 5-3-6-2 hybrid split for the South Africans here. Watching from Canada, All Black supported, but I believe South Africa will win, says Ken Owen there. Let's hope it is an exciting game no matter who wins. Absolutely. If this game is close and going down to the wire and has some incredible moments, I think that's pretty much all we can ask for. Apparently a car engine has 30% less combustion at 1,700 metres than at sea level, says Albert. And I was nervous right now. I can't get calm. I've been needing 32 years for this. I've been waiting 32 years, I think that would be. And Kia ora, bro, says Mike's welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. They have just got the trophy that they are bringing out onto the field. It is an interesting design, split into two pieces for this greatest rivalry tour, and that's supposed to be the significance of both sides as individuals then smacking together. I think that's the reasoning behind it anyway, but they're about to collide it. Is it magnetized? It'd be magnetized, you'd think. You wouldn't want to put your fingers in between or else that would really hurt. You'd probably get a purple finger from that trophy. We have got there. Hi, Hamish. Says Diane, welcome in. Kia ora from Seattle. Says Nick is there, or is, and the chat to you. And Kia ora, bro, says Mike. But the trophy has been put on the field. The flyover has just taken place at Ellis Park as well. We are 10 minutes from the start of this test match, ladies and gentlemen. Stern A said our long tour kickoff. We are 10 minutes from the start. But the flyover taking place as well. But looking through at the lineups again, ladies and gents, just before we hit the national anthems for the South Africans, it is Oxenshire, Malcolm Marks and Wilco Lowe as the front rowers power up front in the scrum, and Malcolm Marks, the accuracy with the line out will be absolutely crucial for the Boks in this game. And the locking duo, Eben Etzebev, not a huge amount of game time throughout this year, but he is still going to be getting the start here alongside the informed Ruan Nokia. In the loose forward trio, three extremely dangerous players. And I can't reiterate enough how much New Zealand need to shut these three men down. Paul de Villiers, number 6, he is still very early on in his Springbok career, but he has certainly packed a punch in the early stages. Peter Steph-Toy as the captain at number 7, and then Jasper Wiese, then closing out the 4-pack as that number 8, Grant Williams and Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu in that 9 and 10 combination. Tempo will be high throughout the early stages of this match. In the midfield, it is Damien Dialendi and Jesse Creel. I think that those two men, you just can't split them up at the moment with the way that they play. Dialendi, he is one of the underrated jacklers of the South African side, and Jesse Creel, the way that he has turned his career around after about 3 years ago when people didn't even want to see him in a Springbok squad, he has really changed the opinions, and everyone now selecting him as that 13. And a big moment here as well, I should mention, for Damien Dialendi, as it is going to be his 100th match milestone as he leads his family out onto the field to celebrate this momentous occasion for the number 12. But in the back three, it is Kutli Arendse out on the left wing, Cheslin Colby out on the right, and Damien Valimza, a high ball specialist is what I'm going to call him now. He is there at number 15. We have their do kickoff is supposed to be at 1:10 a.m. Says Jay, or I think for us here in New Zealand it was supposed to be 3:10. That's kind of the time that was said by Sky all the way through. Although on the radio I did hear earlier on they said it was going to be a 3 a.m. kickoff. But yeah, 3:10 about when it's supposed to take place. So 8 minutes time, couple national anthems and a haka. And then we are underway for this contest. But looking through at their bench for the South Africans, they have gone with the 5-3-6-2 split. It involves Andre Esterhuizen as the number 20. The Warriors are just making their way out onto the field now. It looks like the man at the front, his calf has recovered. It was in the first match for the South Africans. Oh no, he's still not doing the big jump. So I think that calf's still not quite 100%, but it is getting better. And the box says, Jacques Morena, everyone. Says, JJ, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. And we have got there, have a good call, my man, says Jay. And prediction is 28-26 in favour of the All Blacks, says Tanas. But now making their way onto the field, it is the South Africans with Peter Steph-Toy at the front. No Sia Kolisi in this contest. Also no Andre Pollard. No, who else are they missing in terms of guys who have featured in the recent times? I would say as well, could say no Kanan Moody, no Ethan Hooker, no Upper Lily Fassi. Plenty of players that are out. You look sharp, Amish. Says, Jacques, thank you very much. Is Ox still injured? No, he is in the number 1 jersey, so I'd like to think he's not injured. And if he is, that is an interesting call from Rassi. But no, I'd say he's 100% raring to go for this game. We have got there. Good morning, everyone. Let's go the All Blacks. Should I call into work so I can watch? I think work will know exactly why you're calling, though, Jameson. So you better come up with a really good excuse. Because if you say, I'm just watching the rugby, they may not be too happy. Depending on what your job is, of course. But the two sides are lined up, ready for the national anthems. Hi, Hamish says, Desvonde, welcome in. Looking through at this All Blacks. Starting lineup in the front row, it is Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax. All three men in very good form heading into this contest. Taylor was a bit of a question mark in regards of his calf injury and also current form in terms of the July internationals. I think for some people was a bit 50-50, but he is back rearing to go. He got the double in the last contest and looking to really cement himself as the starting. So here we see that's Sean Fitzpatrick actually singing the national anthem. He is locked arm in arm with Ardie Savia. I assume that they're going to do the same for the South African who did present the trophy too, but it's kind of a nice moment if they are doing that. But in the locking duo for the Kiwis, it is Josh Lord as the number 4, and Fabian Holland at 5. Some surprises in the locking department for this New Zealand team. Tupavai at 6, who is the additional lock cover. He is playing from the blind side in this contest, though. Luke Jacobson, who has been Rennie's consistent 7 option throughout this year, and then Ardie Savia, the captain, returning for his first game since the July internationals. He will be rearing to go. He will be fired up, and he should be fresh, ready for this contest. And he has to be, because of course, Ellis Park, you've got the altitude, the lungs are going to be burning in the later stages of the match, so you have to make sure you've got the 80-minute gas tank, which I do believe is something that Savia does possess. Cam Roigard as the 9, with Ruben Love slotting in as the 10. Josh Morby out on the left wing. Geordie Barrett and Quinn Tupaia as the midfielders, with Will Jordan out on the right and Damian McKenzie as the 15. There were some real injury concerns regarding this All Blacks backline. Cam Roigard being one, he had calf injury earlier on in the tour. Will Jordan had a back injury as early or as late as last week. And Damian McKenzie, he was unsure whether or not he'd even be playing in this game due to the ankle injury. It was pretty last minute, but it seems like he's come along nicely, and he's going to need that ankle for the high ball. We have got the hello, Hamish, glad to do the game. With you again, love your style of commentating, says John. Thank you very much, mate. And look, it's Mark today. Thank you, Hamish, says Ty Smith, and who donated the suit, brother. Believe it or not, I don't know whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing, but this is actually the suit that I wore to the ball 10 years ago. So somehow it still fits. I don't know whether or not that's because I'm the same size as I was, or it was way too oversized back in the day. But yeah, it still fits, only just. I have to say I can't really move my arms too much. I don't want to hear a big rip down the backside. We have got there, look at all the All Black supporters. There's Neo there. And however, Rassi decides the Box have to play, but to slow the game down, be it to run in quick game, be it to kick, says Ernie Van. And I'm still very undecided about how many kicks we're going to see in this contest, because New Zealand's high ball has been questioned throughout the last, I would say, 36 months or so. But Caleb Clark, he would have been a great addition, sadly injured. Josh Morby, solid under a high ball. Will Jordan, the same, and McKenzie. The pressure at the back. Damian McKenzie versus Damian Valimza. There's actually a lot of Damians in this game, as Damian Dialendi is there too. We have got there, this is eating me up. I think I must switch off and check at the end of the match what the score was, says Andrea. And from a Box supporter, unfortunately, All Blacks by 7, says Mr. D. And like a sharp lad, says Megalicious. And there as well. But anyone who hasn't already, get in those score predictions. Who is winning this first test match of the Greatest Rivalry Tour? We are 3 minutes away from the kickoff. We have got there Namasaki here in the Philippines, says Hammock there. And also, we've got their Box will probably have permanent residency in the Koro Lounge. With all the air miles, they're going to put on that ball, says Mark, and let's go All Blacks, says JJ. Their first half score, I think it's going to be close. We have got there, sorry Amish, but your New Zealand might lose this one, says Paul Hustlers. I don't doubt that. The thing is, for me, this game's going to be split by less than 5. And when you've got a game split by less than 5, it can easily go either way. My preview, I went New Zealand by 2, but I wouldn't trust my predictions, even though I did somehow say that the Bulls would get a 31-point loss, and it was bang on the money, but I definitely can't do it 2 weeks in a row, and if I do, then I'd be very confused, because normally my predictions are a mile off. We have got there watching from the UK Box all the way today, says Josh, but the haka about to take place. It is being led by Cody Taylor. And we have got there, my mate, I'm watching your channel from South Africa. I got the Box to win this game, says Cluin there. And also we have got there, this isn't a game anymore. It's far more, says Gavin. And it is close to silence at Ellis Park. It was mentioned all throughout the week about how Rassi wanted to see it be quiet at the ground, showing the respect to the All Blacks haka with Savia at the front of it. There'll be a fair amount of goosebumps out there on the field, I am sure, and definitely in the stands as well. And we have got there 23-17. Good evening, morning, Hamish. Enjoy the game. Fairly nervous, but come on, the All Blacks from the UK also. And we have got there the All Blacks by 15. There's the prediction there too. They do look fired up. Both of these sides know that they need their best performance here. You want to get off to a start in a tour with a victory. You do not want to be chasing the game from the get-go. And that is something that definitely both of these sides know. 20 minutes in the early stages could be the difference between a win and a loss here. But it's nearly here, ladies and gents. I'm getting nervous for both of these sides as well, I have to say, just because the anticipation. We have had over 12 months of people talking about this tour, talking about this first test match. It has to live up to expectation. I do think that we're probably going to see a couple interesting moments throughout the game, but hopefully it doesn't shape it. Sasha, the president, says win there. And Aka is brilliant to hear. Watches a South African rugby fan, says Hillberry there. And 4:10 p.m. in the UK, I'm allowed to open a nerve-calming beer, says Mark. The All Blacks, they have finished the haka, which means we are now rearing to go for the start of this match, ladies and gents. We also haven't asked as of yet, who do you guys think will score the first try in this contest? The exact player. Cheslin Colby's always a decent shout for the New Zealanders. Will Jordan, that man seems to score in most matches. Cody Taylor, he is nursing a bit of a cut under the eyeball after that last contest that he played up against the Bulls. That is not the only injury that New Zealand have. Definitely not when it comes to the kind of more surface level stuff. There are guys with cuts, there are guys with scrapes, there are guys with bruises, but that is not going to shy them away from contact. That is not going to back them away from a challenge. De Groot, I think his face is permanently broken at the moment from these matches that he's been playing. The double flyover just before kickoff too. First try for Morby, says Nada Boy. Sasha for the first try. Ox for the first try. Going with the big man, Ox and Share, to get over the line. That would be quite a thing of beauty. It's always cool watching a prop in motion too. Definitely if it's a breakaway of some sort, less than just a pick and go, or more than a pick and go and a bit of a backline movement too. And bloody 2 planes, says Neo there. They have extended the budget for this match, and rightfully so. 2 planes. In fact, we already had a flyover earlier. 3 planes we have had for this Greatest Rivalry Tour opener. And we have there Jesse Grell first try after 5 minutes, says John there. But now the time for talking is almost done, except not for me, and in fact not for you guys either. The time for the talking for the 2 teams, I guess, is almost done, because everyone here, including myself, is going to keep on talking throughout the 80 minutes. So we get the benefit of watching this one and talking all about it. Referee in charge of this one, Matthew Carley. I way too many open seats. Says Gutsia there, and Morby for the first try, and go the Bok. And there too. Cam Roygard, like they've said, the first time that Cam Roygard will be on this tour, and also he did not feature in 2024 against the Springboks team, but the kickoff is just about to take place. South Africa kickoff from right to left with Sasha Feinberg, Ngome Zulu, and we are underway. The Greatest Rivalry Tour test match. It was missed by New Zealand initially off the kickoff, but it was claimed by Morby. It was in right place, right time, and New Zealand now have the ball inside of their 22, hit up by Fabian Holland. She transitions into the number 5 jersey for this game rather than 4, like he has been playing. Charge down from Eben Etzebeth, but he's pinged for offside. Just a little bit too early there for Etzebeth. But that was close. A charge down early. One step too quick, says Matthew Carley there for Etzebeth, but that could have been very intriguing had that ball bounced around. Most anticipated game of the year. Whole Northern Hemisphere watching, taking notes on how to play rugby. South Africa for the win, says Gladwin. Yeah, I mentioned about it earlier on. I feel like this game in particular, this is, for me, the biggest test match of the year. Yes, the other games of the Greatest Rivalry Tour are going to be huge. You could also argue the last match, if somehow we are 1-1 heading into that match in Baltimore. But for me, this game here, this shapes a lot of the rugby calendar in terms of momentum, in terms of hype heading towards that Rugby World Cup. Adi Savia, the big chopping tackle on him as he moves up towards the Springboks 40-metre line. Mark's wanting the steal and the breakdown. He has managed to get it there for the South Africans, but taken straight back by none other than Cam Roygard, who threw the body on the line. He saw Mark's had it. He said, no, that's still on our side. Ruben Love going off to Quintupai. Quick hands from Geordie Barrett out to Will Jordan. Cuts in. Bit of a tip tackle from Paul de Villiers. Not intentional, just the way that Jordan's bodies fell. A big shot on Ethan de Groot by the big man Oxen Shan. The penalty goes the way of South Africa early. Jasper Vesa managing to win it for a side. Right, this is now going to be the question mark. What do? Do you go 3 from about 47 metres out, or do you kick towards the corner and apply the early pressure. That is a decision that Peter Steph Toy has to make. He is pointing towards the corner, and that shows a little bit of the mindset of the South African side early here. 12-point victory for the Boks, says says Vicky Smith. Right. They have chosen to go for the corner. And again, about 48 metres out, altitude as well. We have to remember you're always going to get that distance on it that you require. But they're going to put the pressure on New Zealand early. Look to find their way over that try line. And the All Blacks winning by running them all over the park, says Sing a Song. And also, we have there, it's always best to take the 3, says Smegalicious and Kia Kaha All Blacks. Your day, your play, your win, says Hepper there too. But Malcolm Mark to throw this ball in now for the South Africans. Going to the back of the line out, it's overthrown, and New Zealand claim it, popping it up to Artie Savia. 22 metres out from their line, but a mistake made at the set piece from the Boks early. And Gordon Love it, says Craig Morgan. Now, Cam Roygaard of his left boot. He will kick that one up high. Had Ebony Etzebeth right in his face. Geordie Barrett looking for the high ball taken by Will Jordan. And in the end, a bit of a miscommunication between Jordan and Barrett. They both won the ball, but instead it's popped into the hands of Paul de Villiers. Now, nice spin there. Oh, that was illegal from Cody Taylor, and the penalty will be awarded against them, jumping over the middle with a breakdown. Now, this is where, March 14, Cody Taylor putting it on the mark, but he wasn't quite there. Right, this is an easy 3. Straight out in front of the post, 22 metres out from the line. Do they do it? I think this is where we're going to see the kicking tee. This is an easy 3 points for South Africa, and that is the call that we do see. You see it there, Cody Taylor just jumping over the breakdown a bit too quickly. Got himself offside and then wouldn't hand the ball to Grant Williams, who was considering the quick tap option. Cheslin Colby, kicking tee for this contest. That answers that question. I thought they would have gone with Sasha for a start, but instead they have decided that Cheslin is the man. And this one, a nice easy kick as well. That's the type of kick you want. Straight out in front, 23 metres out. And Colby to the pole, says Yanko there, and who's kicking it is Cheslin. Colby will be in charge of the kicking responsibilities for this contest. So I would say for the full 80 minutes too. And Colby strikes it, goes down the middle, and South Africa take the early lead here. Get themselves 3 points to 0 up over New Zealand. Easy advantage to the Boks. Says Scringy Cook there. And Chesney is kicking, and Colby kicking, says Craig there, and Taylor giving away a penalty, and the extra 10 yards, says Nada Boy. And bloody frustrated to give away the ball. And when we had the good possession, says JJ. Now, Ruben Love to kick this one off 5 minutes into this contest in the early lead to the home side, taken by Asperfessor inside of his 22, and he bulldozes away towards Fabian Holland. Told to use it here, Williams inside of the 22. Still rolling it back. And eventually does kick that one high. Chasing after it is Kurt Liarden. So Will Jordan, though, gets back and claims it nicely for New Zealand around the halfway line. Etzebeth trying to get in that breakdown. Cause a bit of disruption there for the All Blacks. There's an advantage rushing up too quickly that time from the South African backline. Now, quick hands from McKenzie. Goes to Jordan. Ball on the outside. Vai moves up to the halfway line. Still under the penalty advantage here for New Zealand. Roygaard shifts it left. Holland hangs on to the ball. Takes the contact with Nokia. And they'll go back for the penalty around the halfway line. 3 a.m. for you, Hamish. How do you look so bright and sparky? Just for the love of rugby. I bet it's that, says Ruby. You are 100% correct. There is absolutely no way that I would be in any sort of tiredness at this point in time with this game going on. Taylor should have got a yellow for cynical play, says LB, and also we have there Williams, good tackle on Vai, says Hanoi, and New Zealand have also opted to go towards the corner here. Again, about 50 metres out is definitely kickable when it comes to this type of area. We see it there, jump of the gun. I think it was Wilco Low that they have ended up penalising, as Ruan Nokia was actually one step back. We have got there, I just woke up what's happened. So far we've seen the penalty against New Zealand, which was 3 points for Cheslin Colby, who is the kicker. And now New Zealand have the opportunity to attack from 22 metres out. Geordie Barrett, chop and tackle on him by Paul de Villiers. Roygaard looking to the short side, fires it out to Tupove. Bit of a slip from Williams, but tackled by Etzebeth. Another advantage, this time for a high shot against the Boks. Cam Roygaard, away to Ethan de Groot, still 20 metres out, running at his opposite number in Oxnashare. Now two-man tackle by Nokia and also Sasha Fainberg-Mazulu offload from Savia to Royga. He dodges two tackles, moves up to 10 metres out. New Zealand still with the ball in hand. Jacobson plays half, goes to Barrett. Wide cutout pass out to Tupove, who's going to back himself towards the corner. It hits Williams, bounces into touch, and they'll go back for the original All Blacks penalty advantage. Otherwise, Colby kicking. What's wrong with Sasha? I think they've just decided that Colby's good enough to take the kicks. He does take the kicks during the Japanese top league for his side. Okay, direct head contact. Wait, did they say no? They might have said not direct head contact, so just a penalty. And they are going for the corner again here, New Zealand. This feels like a World Cup knockout match. Says Hanoi there. It's got that real, like, I know I say test match feel quite a bit. Yeah, the swinging arm from Metzebev hit Vai in the head. Vai was ducking down a little bit. But now line out, about 5 metres out from the line. Nicely taken at the front by Josh Lord as the rolling maul of New Zealand starts to march towards the sideline, but also towards the try line too. 7 metres from the line. Ball coming out for Cam Roygaard, who does have to use it very shortly. He's going to look away to the left-hand side, sniping by himself, tackled by Grant Williams. Still there on the side of New Zealand, and at this stage, no penalty advantage in their favour. Ball is there, close to the line, was Artie Savia. There's a new penalty advantage. Josh Lord rolls sideways, can't quite get over. Taylor looked like he was going to go for it. Instead, Roygaard looking towards Ethan Agroot. No, in fact, going to go right. Wide cutout pass. Will Jordan scores in the corner, and New Zealand take the lead for the game at Ellis Park. Excellent, keep the pressure on, says Mark, but a bit of ill discipline from both of these sides in the early stages. We saw it down the other end with Cody Taylor. We're seeing it now from South Africa, giving away 3 or 4 advantages inside of their own half, and Will Jordan, the clinical try scorer, the most decorated try scorer for New Zealand up against Tier 1 sides, gets over the line and finishes off this one for New Zealand. We have got a new channel member as well from Cheryl. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. You're becoming a member there. I think it has that Springboks and All Blacks are the gatekeepers of rugby. And the rest of the world taking notice. And try Will Jordo. Says Johnny Blaze there. And we have got there, where are the Box supporters who said the All Blacks wouldn't last in this game. We're 9 minutes into the contest. There is a lot that can change. And that kick from Ruben Love misses away to the right-hand side. So that is going to make the score now 5-3 in favour of New Zealand. Oh. HIA replacement here. Who's going off? 11 Springboks, Kurtley Arendse. It's a mouthguard HIA. 1 second, we'll go like that. Kurtley Arendse looks surprised about it, which normally tells you that maybe it's not that serious. What we're going to do there. Oh, and Paul de Villiers, some heavy strapping on his right ankle. So a few things happening early on here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to put the try scorers down the bottom. We haven't done that for a little while. We're going to see the replay here. Oh, okay, so it just happened there. Kurtley Arendse was trying to make the tackle on Josh Lord, got his head on the wrong side and just got a headbutt to the side of the head from Lord, the ball carrier. And Mr. Conversion says, Nada boy, really enjoying your commentary. Looking remarkably neat and tidy. I'm interested, Pom. I was hoping for a cracking match. Sounds like a great try from Jordan, says Francis. And a very nice wide cutout pass from Cam Roygaard there too. Did the conversion get missed? It did indeed. So 5-3 the scoreline. Esterhazen is on the field. And who else? I think that Esterhazen's on for Arendse. And we have got their bomb squad coming on early. Sounds very rusty. Well, only due to injury or HIA is the reason for the early change. Also, a bit of knee concern for Ethan Agroot, getting some heavy strapping on the leg. And we have the slowing the game down now. Both sides. Paul de Villiers getting the ankle strapped. New Zealand getting the knee strapped of de Groot. Matthew Carley just said there he's going to treat both sides the same, and both sides were getting the medical attention simultaneously. But it's kicked off now by the South Africans, nicely taken by Artie Savia. Only 10 metres out from his line. That is a very strong kickoff from Sasha Fainberg-Zulu. Put in New Zealand deep inside of their own 22. I'm going away to the right-hand side. Josh Lord was involved. Couple phases before that last try of New Zealand. Now Roigard does kick that one towards the sideline, does get it into touch. And we have got the All Blacks. Let's go, says Desvonde, and also Jordan is scoring more. Then Mick in the 80s says Rugby Jackal. And says Toxic Sick. And they two, but line out now for the South Africans. Again, there is plenty of anticipation for what is to come in this contest. Currently sitting the 11 minutes through, and it is going to absolutely fly by throughout the 80 minutes. Line out from Malcolm Marx this time is successful. Now breaking off the back to Villiers. There is an advantage for South Africa as well for the early collision, and there's been a collision there with Matthew Carley. Now Grant Williams fires it away to the right. That looked a little bit high from Quinton Pye. Big knock on from Easthuizen, so they will go back for the original advantage again. But both sides at the moment playing under penalty advantage for quite a bit of the early stages of this match. Love sucks, man. Get him off. Where's Richie? Any idiot? Says Kiwi Rugby Man. I mean, once again, we are only early on in this game, and he's missed one kick at the post. He nailed many of his kicks the last few games for New Zealand. We have I placed $100 on Will Jordan, $2 odds. Made $100 profit. Easy bet. Says Martin there. And the All Blacks need every conversion. Says Tana. And there too. But now Sasha. This one was, again, a kickable 3. But they've decided that the mindset is to go aggressive, and also with the amount of penalty advantages that we've seen throughout this matchup, it is understandable why both teams will want to keep that pressure on. They're just showing that beautiful step from Cheslin Colby around Luke Jacobson. But now, line out here for Malcolm Marx. 15 metres. Oh no, another stoppage here. Okay, they were just trying to get the numbers right in the line out there. Okay, Matthew Carley just telling both sides to play fair here in the line out. Team in Sri Lanka. You're looking smart. Do you have pants on? I do have pants on, but they don't match the top. Or the top half. Nice line out there from Ruan Nokia. Malcolm Marx, this is where it starts to get dangerous. They are starting to march forward for the Springboks. Hoping to get that penalty advantage, although Vai's come through the middle, and it's a knock-on from South Africa, or at least the ball dropped. Maybe they're calling it as backwards. Peter Steph-Toy chopped down 3. South Africans in the breakdown. Loose ball picked up by Wilco Low. It's a bit scrappy at the moment. South Africa just looking to get it settled now. Williams goes away to Jasper Vesa. It's always going to take 2 men to take that man down. New Zealand with Cody Taylor in the wrong place, wrong time. And an advantage now for not rolling away. Missed tackle from Morby. And Esterhuizen bulldozes his way over the line. The super sub for Arunsa early on. And Esterhuizen strikes to get South Africa now on the board. It was an interesting moment. They may just check at the back of that maul. It did look like a maybe knock on is all I'm going to say. But that was, of course, going to get cleared by the TMO. But what a run from Esterhuizen. That was a bit of a welcome to South Africa for Josh Morby, who just got bumped off with Esterhuizen's power. Roigard trying to make a tackle with not many arms involved. But that is going to be 13 minutes into the game. We've got a test match on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. I check the back of the maul, says Josiah there. And also we have got there Izzy and the centres are on the wing. I believe he's on the wing currently. Oh, actually, to be fair, Jesse Creel's probably popped out to the wing and Esterhuizen's probably playing from the middle. Now, that kick has gone over too from Cheslin Colby. And now makes the score 8 points to 5. In fact, it makes the score 10 points to 5. However, there was the knock on, Amish. I saw that the ball was dropped at the back of the maul, but I do think it went backwards. It was one of those ones that they obviously would have looked at. You'd like to think so anyway. And I'd say it was all cleared and all good to go. Now Ruben Love ready to kick this one off again for New Zealand. He only did that moments ago. Now to the back, Sasha Fainbung Zulu. Butchered his name there, but it has found the touch line. And we have there come on the All Blacks. And the Groot is down again, says Nada Boy. And also we have there great stuff back and forth, point scoring. That's what we want through the game, says Mark. And thanks for the return of the try scorers headline, says Memento there. Yeah, if there was ever a time to do it, it is definitely this Greatest Rivalry tour. Also, I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 100,000, so if you do want to help us get there, it is hugely appreciated. We're doing the whole Greatest Rivalry tour on the channel as well, so be sure to stick around. But Geordie Barrett, 40 metres out from New Zealand's line. New Zealand currently are in possession of the ball, but again, another Taylor penalty advantage. It's a bit of an early concern. Quinta Paya chasing after this box kick of Cam Roigard. Nicely taken, though, by Damien Valimzo, who is absolutely phenomenal under a high ball. And we have got there, I appreciate it's still early. Does the score fairly reflect the game? I would say so. I think both sides have deserved a try from the way that they've attacked. There is a knock-on in the breakdown from South Africa, though, 40 metres from their line, so New Zealand will get their first scrum feed. In fact, this is going to be our first scrum of the day. It's taken 15 and a half minutes. Just joined. How is the pace of the game going? Slower running. Relatively quick tempoed, I would say, early on. Just subscribed, says Giants. Thank you very much. It is hugely appreciated. And like I said, we're here all throughout his name, or all throughout this matchup, all throughout this rivalry tour, and also the Nations Championship, the Rugby World Cup next year. We're also going to still be here. And our halfbacks are going to lose. Says Gert there, and also we have got there who have 5 and 10. So South Africa have got the 10, New Zealand have got the 5. The early try, Will Jordan in the 9th minute, and then the try from Andre Esterhuizen firing back 4 minutes later. And who got injured? Was it serious? So Kurtley Arendse suffered a head knock. I don't think it will be too serious. He looked all right. Afterwards, both sides are having a huddle and a drinks break at the moment here. Medic on the field, giving a towel to Jesse Creel. I don't think there's any injury there, which is good news. The pack weight's 926 kgs for the Springboks and 917 kgs for the All Blacks. Just subscribe, lads, says Anonymous Official. Thank you very much. And great commentating on par. What's the stoppages, says Trebs. Yeah, both sides beating each other up early. We're seeing De Villiers already get the heavy strapping on the left ankle. We're seeing De Groot getting attention on his right knee, I believe it was. And we've also seen a head knock already for Kurtley Arendse. And now Tupovai looks like he's getting a bit of medical attention to that left ankle too. We have there, Springboks are the toughest team in the world. To beat New Zealand, I'll find it hard to crack them with the depth they have, says Mushin. And also we're up the wires, says Fred. And we have got there, could you please give commentary with a soft, assuring tone? My nerves are already shot. Now scrum feed about to take place. 58% possession in favour of New Zealand currently in the early stages of this matchup. Now Roigard to put the ball in territory. Slight advantage to New Zealand as well. But only, you're talking 53-47. Front rows collapse. There is going to be the scrum reset if Arendse comes back on. There'll be multiple games in a row where Rassi has given a player a break under a ruse of an HIA. I don't think it's a ruse though. Like, we literally saw him get hit in the head. So it'll be understandable if they couldn't find a replay, but he took a headbutt from Lord, like with Lord carrying the ball. Hamish Roigard or Sasha Feinberg and Zulu, in what regard? Like, we're talking about like playmakers, we're talking who's better. They do play different positions. So I guess your better head-to-head would have been Ruben Love or Sasha or Cam Roigard or Grant Williams. We have got this South Africa repeatedly offside, says Ross, although they have already been pinged a couple times by Matthew Carley for it, so you'd think that they're keeping a close eye on it for both sides. There was a big push from South Africa, but Geordie Barrett now has the ball in the midfield for New Zealand. Ruben Love running the ball forward, cutting on the inside, tackled by Esterhuizen with an awkward fall there for the All Blacks' first 5. Roigard firing it off left. Will Jordan long way from his wing. Moving it out to De Groot. That's going to test the leg as Oxenshare as well as Wilco Lowe chop him down. No advantage now from the breakdown. Josh Lord, big collision with Vesa and Peter Steph Toya to something that the South Africans do so well, tackling in groups. New Zealand, a penalty here for not rolling away in the breakdown against South Africa. And I would say the Kiwis will go straight back to the corner. Now, it's unfortunate for Oxenshare and Wilco Lowe as it was a dominant tackle from the two of them. But just not quite getting it right. So Jesse Grill's playing wing now? Yes. At this stage, I would say it makes more sense than Esterhuizen sitting out there. And the box says Veronica there. And go the ABs go, says Josiah. Kicking, who's better? Well, one of them does box kicking and the other does like the up and unders in general play. So again, it's a bit of a different thing. I'd say that Sasha is better at retaining his kicks. As one element, you'd say that Cam Roigard's passing is probably better, but again, you're playing 9 versus 10, which is always going to be pretty different. Now, nicely taken by Fabian Holland at the front of the line out. Jacobson breaks off the back, gives it away to Savia. Now Barrett onto Roygaard, shovels it onto Ruben Love. Big wide cutout pass. Will Jordan looking towards the corner again. Colby though, chopping him down low. And a good bit of work from Sasha in the breakdown to all but get the steal. Roygaard runs it to Villiers. That's a dangerous game as he is normally lightning quick when it comes to the breakdowns, but a good clean out coming from Luke Jacobson. Oh, Colby throwing a little bit of a hammer fist in the breakdown, not happy with something that was going on. Straightened off the feet from Malcolm Marks, so penalty advantage now in favour of New Zealand again. In fact, reverse neck roll is what the call is from Carly from the assistant referee. Okay, neck roll first, then 2 off his feet, so it will be the penalty to South Africa. We have got there come on the All Blacks here, Fred Scott. Oh, that's against Cody Taylor again. And it's the same penalty that he gave away in the game against the Bulls. We have got the ABs ain't here for a cow barbecue. And come on the All Blacks, says Fred, and go the ABs go, says Josiah. That one is going to be booted into touch down towards that halfway line. We're going to see it there. No, in fact, it's a bit harsh. It's not Taylor. It was Fabian Holland. The Cameron crew were doing him a little bit dirty there, Taylor. As, yeah, Holland just going in there to take marks off his feet. And Cody again, no, it was Holland. Got penalised, slapped away by Etzebeth in the line out now to De Villiers. And another part of that man's game that gets almost under-talked about or underappreciated is the way that he can run the ball. He's a powerful man. It's a box kick from Grant Williams going down towards the halfway line, only travelling about the 10 metres. That's slapped back by Jordan. Looked like a knock-on from New Zealand around the halfway line, maybe brushing to Groot's hands. Nice step from McKenzie. He's dragged down by Krill and Dearlendy. Popped up to Morby now. Sees a bit of a gap. Tries to work with it, but tackled by Nshe as well as the toy. Now Josh Lord, forward pass, or at least very flat to Groot. Pops it back out. Lomax to Barrett. Jordan now on to Cody Taylor. An open play. Vai again situated out near the wing. Roygaard fires it left to Groot. Trying to knock through Grant Williams, who does very nicely in the challenge. We got the donation from Johan Pretorius as well. Thank you very much. I love how excited the commentary is for both sides. Keep it up, man, says Johan. Thank you very much. And now on the halfway line, Josh Morby tackled by Krill, who again finds himself out on that wing due to the early injury or the early HIA of Kurt Liarden. So we are yet to see that man make his way back in. Now Roygaard told to use it. He will go with the box kick. He's doing a little bit at the back of the breakdown, Roygaard, which seems to be throwing off the Springboks when it comes to their timing of trying to go for the charge down. But again, a brilliant take from Damian Valimza under the high ball. Andre Estes, and he's kicking the ball. That doesn't happen too often, but he's found a bit of open space up until the ball hit Damian McKenzie. Fires it infield to Ruben Love, who thought about a kick of his own, but he will fire it away to the left-hand side, and a big kick from Barrett into the 22. Mark is called by Sasha Feinberg Ngume Zulu, and 22 minutes through, and we're currently sitting 10 points to the 5. Hamish, who you have your money on, says Theme Screamer. In my prediction, I went All Blacks by 2, but I said easily either side can take this one out. I mentioned, though, that the New Zealanders needed the better 21st minutes, and I would argue that they haven't had that. It's kicked downfield from Sasha to about 42 metres out from his own line. I get the ball to Colby. That is a brilliant take from Damian Valimza. I mentioned about it in the build-up, how he is becoming somewhat of a high ball specialist. Can we have a scrum? Yeah, we've only had 1 in this game so far, I believe, or maybe 2. If we're lucky, Jacobson, short ball, up to Geordie Barrett. 2-man tackle from De Villiers and De Toy again. Fabian Holland tries a bit of a step tackle, quite up round the shoulders by Malcolm Marks. Now fired away left-hand side. Ball out to Vai. Trying to get through. Grant Williams. Offload to Morby. On the inside. They'll check the last pass. But it might be the next try for New Zealand in this contest. If this ball's gone backwards. We'll put that one in though. That is another try for a New Zealand winger in this matchup. Josh Morby has been in quite some form. Time to pay my rent. As he said in the contract. Thank you for the energy, says Ruby. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. But it is the assist to Tupavai down the wing. They're just showing the replay of the pass. It's pretty flat, is how I would describe it. Was the hand going backwards? That angle looks better, to be fair. The one from further behind. And 12-10, love you, Morby, says Josiah there. We're hearing a bit of talk, though, from Matthew Carley, which makes you think maybe they will check something. Cam Roigard been heavily involved in terms of that passing game early. Ruben Love lining up the kick straight down the middle of the pass, or straight down the middle of the post, I should say. So New Zealand now with the lead, 12 points to the 10. Thank you, Hamish. Listen to your commentary. While working, says Kip there. It's a nice bit of work, though, from Tupavai to lure in Grant Williams as well as Jesse Krill. And come on, the All Blacks and Morby is forgiven for the earlier clanger, says Mark, and forward, says Jacques. Yeah, I assume that they looked at it again, similar to what we saw for that maul earlier on. It sounded like Matthew Carley was having a conversation with the TMO. Oh, knock on from Valimza under the high ball. That is something that does not happen too often. He tried to go for the kick downfield, McKenzie, and very lucky that they did have the knock-on advantage as Andre Estes and getting another charge down for the Springboks team. But it is going to be the scrumping for New Zealand just outside of the 22. We have got the go-go box. Says Anton was a good pass, Hamish. I would call it a pass that deserved to be looked at again. I thought from the side-on angle, it looked flat, debatably forward. From the back angle, or like from the in-goal angle, it looked a lot more like they flicked it backwards. So I think it all depended on what angle that they showed. But again, I assume that they looked at it. You'd like to think so. Everything else has been checked by the TMO and Nowadays Rugby. But now 25 minutes and 12-10 in favour of New Zealand. Cam Roigard ready to put this one in, and the penalty to South Africa against the scrum feed. That was on the far side. Wilco Low taken down to Groot. Now we have the yes, the All Blacks, says Fred, and we can win this. Says Anton there, my nerves are shot. Oh, taking the 3 points here, South Africa, to give themselves the lead back at this stage of the match. The Groot disappointed. Had a bit of a shaky start to this contest too. We have got the bollocks, that was forward, says Jason there. And I've taken the kick, says Nana Boy. And also we have got the group seems to be struggling. That is not the way I wanted this game. No nail biting again. And Love or Sasha, are we still talking about the kicks theme, or are you talking about something else? We have got there, please miss please, says Josiah there. And take the 3, says Rugby Jack on it is. Cheslin Colby currently sitting 2 from 2 off of the kicking tee. And we have got there, New Zealand will need a bigger lead at halftime. They are going to have to put through the ringer in the second half. But now Cheslin Colby using up as much of the shot clock as physically possible here too. And straight down the middle. They're making the score now 13 points to the 12. We've had 5 lead changes in the 26 minutes of this game. And we're only 26 minutes into this game. Okay, Matthew Carley has just said there, he's had a bit of a conversation with one of the players. He has said, I trust my team. We've had a conversation. The decision's made. And now close to the sideline. Visa looked like he may have been running in touch. So yeah, they're going to go back to the 22-metre line. Nicely done by the All Blacks defence. But now 22 metres from the box line. This is a chance for another lead change. Now this game's been going. De Groot, take him off, he's injured. Yeah, I think he's struggling at the moment with that knee. But Vesa just there, 2 steps on the sideline for Jasper Vesa there. Colby kicking, not Sasha. Yeah, interesting choice from Rassi. I mean, it's working at the moment. It is 3 from 3 off the kicking tee for Colby. They throw it in nicely, taken by Tupavai for the New Zealanders. About 22 metres out from the line. Savia, the captain, cuts back into low. Tackle made. This is where South Africa really need their defence to be at 100% close to the sideline. Jordan was in touch. So now New Zealand making the mistake on the near side. It seems like both sides feel like they've got a couple more metres than they actually have there. Colby thinking about the quick throw. Deciding against it in the end. 13-12 the score. South Africa beat New Zealand in the 1995 World Cup final. Says Jerome. And then Robbie said, Jerome, that was 15-12. And we have got D-Mac should be kicking our goals. Says Alamo, I mean, Love's sitting 2 from 3 at the moment off the kicking tee. 1 from 2. He was phenomenal last week, though, and if Mackenzie's ankle is still not quite 100%, I can understand why they'd stick low on the tee. Nice bump off from De Villiers. Moves outside of the 22 for the Springboks. And a penalty awarded to South Africa. Another penalty that New Zealand cannot afford to give. Oh, and Sasha, little bit of trash talk afterwards as well. He was getting up in the face, a few smiles as well between him and Matthew Carley. But Sasha letting him know exactly what he thinks of them for the All Blacks. That one's going to go into touch down towards the 40-metre line. Guys, what's the score? It's 13-12 in favour of South Africa currently. And a match for optimistic. Wait, where they go? Oh, opportunistic and alert player, says Carlos. So yeah, we saw the knee go to ground for Paul De Villiers, and then Lomax trying to hold him up. Ended up giving away what was a much not needed penalty for this Kiwi side, who have already given away 7 in the first 29 minutes of this game. Now Sasha Feinberg and Ngume Zulu, little short pop pass up to Paul De Villiers. Grant Williams, box kick again, going down towards the All Blacks 22. Cheslin Colby got up for the ball. Great call of the mark from Will Jordan, who takes the quick tap and decides to try and kick it, but charged down by Williams. Ball claimed by Wilco Low. That's the 3rd charge down we've seen for New Zealand. Etzebeth chopped down about 30 metres out, but mistake made by Jordan. It's going to be ruled as a knockback. Spavesa tackled by Taylor. Backwards. Grant Williams still with ball in hand. Vai told to get out of it. It's a very scrappy game when it comes to the breakdown. Were they 10 metres? Maybe not, but that's okay. So in about 10 metres, 10 minutes remaining in the first half. I believe Williams was one of the further back men, though. So it might have been close to the 10 for him. So you give him, I guess, benefit of the doubt in that scenario. Now, Peter Setatoy, a bit of a loose ball picked up by Damien Valimza. He thought about a drop kick there for a second, the way he was shaping up, but tackled low by Jacobson. Great work in the breakdown to clear out the New Zealand jacklib. Malcolm Mark sits down to Paya, who finishes him off with his second attempt. Now Williams, short ball up for Limser in an offside position. It's accidental. So it is just going to be the scrum for New Zealand. The breakdown was always going to be the game, says Ruby Tuesday there. Let's go the All Blacks. Let's go, says Fred Scott. But an awkward place for Damien Valimza to end up just right next to the breakdown there. Why is Cheslin kicking penalties? Obviously, Rassi feels Cheslin's better off the tee than Sasha. And I'd say it's also for consistency as well. More than likely, Cheslin Colby's going to play the full 80 minutes. Whereas on the other side of the equation, Sasha's more than likely going off for Mani Libok. So I guess just having your same kicker all throughout the game rather than having Colby take over the kicking tee when Libok makes his way on does make quite a bit of sense. Am I higher as a super intense? It's very intense between these two sides currently. 1 point separating them. We've said that before between the teams. But the ball is in New Zealand's hands at the moment. 25 metres out from their own line with the scrum feed. And tight game, love it. Says Setimus there. Now let's go the All Blacks. Let's go, says Fred Scott. Our ball is fed in by Cam Roygaard. Massive push from the South African scrum. And they win another penalty. That is now their second scrum penalty. One against the feed. New Zealand struggling to get the hook, it would seem, with Taylor. But it's Oxenshare this time who manages to win it over Tyrell Lomax. They're making a statement at set piece at the moment near the box, and Sasha looking straight towards the corner. There was absolutely no discussion there between him and Peter Stephtatoy. They knew straight away that was where they wanted to go. Looking to make the most of it now. How's the scrum going for your team? Says Jason. I think you're watching the game, Jason, and as you can see, New Zealand have struggled at scrum time throughout the early stages of this contest. How's the scrum going for your team? We have got there what's happening with our scrum, says Eugene. And also we're there, come on the box, let's do it. Says Jenny there, but line out now for Malcolm Marks. 12 metres from the line. It was almost stolen by Holland, who got up nice and early, and a new advantage in favour of the Springboks. Taylor trying to get in there and shut it down. Now Williams, pick and go, gives it off to Wilco Low. Wasn't supposed to rhyme. New penalty advantage. Someone's going to the bin in the very near future, I would think, for one of these two teams. We're already seeing about 18 penalties. We're only 33 minutes in. Esther Hazen with the quick ball. Didn't quite get it into Sasha's hands for the get-go, but running up the middle and a big two-man tackle from New Zealand. New advantage from Matthew Carley. There has to be a card at the end of this one. Now Williams away to the right-hand side. Vesa, Valimza. It was Ford, so they'll go back for the penalty. And a double blow of the whistle here from Matthew Carley. Our forwards will win this game. So here's Jason, wise to Crouton. Early on the lifter against Josh Lord. I'm surprised that this wasn't a penalty turned into yellow card here. The penalty count now really mounting up. Card would ruin the game, I think, says JLT. And the group needs to go off that knee. Stuff to the scrums, says Mike. Right, Ardi Savia now is going to have the warning from Matthew Carley. And that pass was crazy, says Slow GT. Okay, so Ardi Savia has just said there that there's a little bit of a throwing the man across going on in the line-out, which is making it difficult to join at the right time. Referee has said they're going to look at it. Now, Peter Stefatoy in the ear of Matthew Carley as well, and a bit of a drinks break for both of the sides. I know Matthew Carley said stop that, and he's told the Springboks to get the drinks off the field. Now, it looks like Sasha's rearing to go. He's saying let's get it, and let's keep that pressure rolling, but a bit of a stoppage here we're seeing there. Player stats so far, 39 metres made for Jasper Vesa. 20 of those have been post-contact. We have got their head on head, and certainly there must be warning now. There has been the warning. That was a water. I would have thought there would have been a yellow by now, if we're being honest. We have got the All Blacks put themselves there with mistake after mistake. We have got their, geez, Hamish, stop giving me unnecessary ants. I was sure New Zealand would get in a card. I thought they were too, because like 3 advantages inside of the 22 after already giving away 8 penalties seemed like something that would potentially get you sent to the sin bin. But now rolling forward here with the Springboks maul. Can they get over the line? Here comes Malcolm Marks through the middle. What's happened there? Has he dropped that, Malcolm Marks? It looked very close. And again, they will check a lot of things here. Was it illegal from New Zealand as to why Malcolm Marks dropped that ball? Nika Amashikeli having a conversation here with Carley, but this would be a massive mistake from someone who doesn't make too many of them whatsoever with Marks. They just want to double check it here. And Butterfingers again, says Johnny Blaze. Right, they're checking for the grounding here. What's happened in this breakdown that's caused Malcolm Marks to drop the ball? He's knocked it on. It was Geordie Barrett who managed to get in there and managed to slap it out of the hands of Malcolm Marks. Excellent ref, Nika Mishikali, in fairness, says Rugby Jackal there, and drop, says Leon. But that is a try-saving tackle from Geordie Barrett. It will be 5-metre scrum for New Zealand. That's not necessarily a good thing for the Kiwis at the moment, with the way that scrum has been going. We have got there, of all our lives, the crowd is always biggest in here, says Carlin there. Or of all our lives, I should say. From Carlin, and the ref is against the box, be honest, says Xander. Is he? I feel like if the penalty count's currently 9 against New Zealand, 4 against South Africa. So I feel like that, like, I don't think the referee's been against either of these sides in this contest. And, you know, a lot of people would probably say that he's been pretty harsh on New Zealand. But in this scenario, I think that everything that he's penalised both sides for has been actually justified. I don't think he's had a bad call yet, Carly. I think that the TMO possibly could have checked 1 or 2 of the tries that we've seen, but I believe that they did. Ball's gone, another big push. Oh, it's come out the back for Ardi Savia, though. Now tackled just the 5 metres from the line. Vesa told to get out of there by Matthew Carley, and Roygaard will look to clear his lines. It's a brilliant kick from Cam Roygaard under all sorts of pressure. We have got there, not given yellow was a bad call. Says Joshua Withers, Kiwi's the master of rugby criminality. We are Lee Stewart in your face, says Jason. And also kicking away, AB says Josiah, tight match as expected. Yeah, just 1 point separating these two sides at the moment. The greatest rivalry tour, world number 1, world number 2. And they have currently been going back and forth all throughout the first 35 minutes. Williams up to Sasha. Does get tackled there by Josh Morby. 40 metres again. We're going to see Williams go to the high ball. Cheslin Colby chasing after it, but running on, and no, Colby gets it anyway. Looked like Love had it under control, but again, a territory gain for South Africa. Calling for it wide was Jesse Creel. They're going to go for the cross kick here, and it's just a little bit too hard from Sasha with the kick, but it was a good call in the end. Creel did seem like he was in open space, but the chance does go begging there for the box on attack. Majority was here in Ireland. Gives us time to the fans, Kiwis, Kids Rugby, you name it. Great lad and great rugby IQ, says Rugby Jackal. No, says Jacques Snell. And there as well, but currently 36 minutes through this contest. Still 1 point separating these two teams. We are getting close to the halftime break, ladies and gentlemen. Pull-up will be missed, says Clifton. Yeah, although we have seen 3 from 3 for Cheslin Colby off the kicking tee at this point. And time ball stolen at the line out from the South Africans with Eben Etzebeth. Now Peter Steph-Toy tackled by Geordie Barrett. On the ball there, Savia, just ended up missing the Jackal. Williams with a sniping run next to the breakdown. Sasha Feinberg, Zulu offload on the outside to Damien Dialendi. He gets through another challenge, but hanging on to his legs was Lomax. Rush defense there, maybe a little bit too quick from Quinn Tupaia, but he gets up in the face of Sasha Feinberg. Zulu takes him down round the bootlaces, 25 metres out from the line now for the Springboks on attack. Jasper Vesa breaking the line as he often does. Now popping the ball up to Peter Steph-Toy. This could be yellow, if not red. Toy hit hard in the head, and he's holding the back of his neck. Roygaard now stepping around. This does not look good for Toy, and I think he's going to be struggling here to stay on the field. We've got a double blow of the whistle here. He's got the call from the assistant. This is yellow, if not more, ladies and gentlemen. The way that Toy's head snapped back in the challenge from Holland. And it also looks like De Groot is not in 100% state at the moment either. Neither is Lord. Players are all down at the moment. Okay, they're actually saying there it's the collision between Lord and De Groot. Both men suffering their head knock when making a tackle. And it seems like both are actually going to have to make their way off the field here for HIA. So they've got Simon Parker and they've got George Bauer already situated on the sideline, ready to make their way on if needed. But De Groot, they have stopped it. I'm surprised we haven't seen anything more of that Peter Steph-Toy tackle, as he was hanging on to the back of his neck, which is a bit of a unique one. Now, what's going on? Right, we're seeing 2 changes here. Lord and also we are seeing De Groot going off. That is for George Bauer and also, in fact, Peter Larkai. No, it's not. It's not Josh Lord. It's Simon Parker. Oh, yeah, the tackle collision after trying to tackle Jasper Vesa. Both men smacking in their heads. And we have there, come on, the All Blacks, says Fred Scott. And we have got there, you're annoying, bro, says I am Nat. That's a name and a half, isn't it? You don't have to stay, though. That's the benefit. Let's watch the game. Go watch it. Pay some money. We have got there, good span, says Bussy there. And we have got there, come on the All Blacks, says Josiah. And come on the All Blacks, says JJ in there too. We have got there, De Groot has taken a beating, says Jason. It's probably not a bad time for him to go off either. Like, of course, he's taken the head knock, which is unfortunate for him. But I don't think that knee was 100% since that early strapping went on it. Oh, and now he's getting angry in Afrikaans. I've seen it all before, I am Nat. So it doesn't hurt my feelings, but I see I hurt yours. All Blacks slow on the game. Says now, although that one was a head stoppage or a stoppage from the referee, decided that it was dangerous to have the game continue. Again, I thought there was going to be something big on Peter Steph-Toy. Now Cam Roygaard popping away to the right-hand side, out to Ruben Love, who was inside of the 22. Damien Willemse, looks like he's going to decide against going for it. We have got there, second half, All Blacks going to step up, says Jeff J. How's Savia going? He's gone all right so far, but there are still probably a couple more gears that he can find later on in this contest. Commentary is way better than the one on the telly, says Simray. Thank you very much. Is it still 15 on 15? It is, yes. Still everyone out there on the park. Few changes, though, for both teams. We haven't seen Aldenson return from his head knock. Is the Toy okay? He seems to be. He didn't go off for an HIA either. Now, Grant Williams almost able to pierce his way through. Now, Cheslin Colby. He's going to be playing halfback just for now as Williams was involved in that last breakdown underneath a pile of about 7 players. Told to use it. Williams on his knees at the moment, rolling that ball back. And he does kick it up high. 90 seconds remaining in this first half now. All slapped back by Will Jordan, although it's going to become a 50-22 here. That was close to the foot on the line, and he was hit pretty hard there. Ruben Love with the collision. Colby standing over him as well, letting him know about it. As the Springboks get almost what is the equivalent of a 50-22 in this scenario. We have got there, second half always best for the Boks. We have got there, Torrent the Boks gets from South Africa, and this is why we love rugby. Really good game, physicality is off the charts, says HDB. You're a great commentator, Hamish, keep up the good work. And I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. 1 point separating these two sides. We see Andre Pollard watching on from the sideline. He will not be playing in this game, though. Taken, Ruan Nokia. Could have been an advantage in favour of the Boks. That was a big collision, but the ball is now loose. Morby thinking about firing it back, but they're 5 metres from the line. Now Roygaard firing it away. This is risky from New Zealand, only sitting 1 metre out from their line, but Will Jordan breaks through the Emini Etzebeth tackle. Colby finishes it off, though. Going away to the left-hand side now. Taylor, 15 metres out from the line. New Zealand, 8 seconds remaining. I think they've had that realisation, so they'll just take a couple collisions and then look to put this ball into touch to call it half-time. The siren sounding. Now back into the pocket. Love kicks it out. And that is going to now be half-time in this first match of the Greatest Rivalry Tour. It is 13 points to the 12. And we have got there, so be honest, it was the All Blacks slowing the game down all the time. You think Rennie going to say something about it? Says LB, I see that what Rennie said earlier on in the week has really ruffled a few feathers of people. I know that even Russie kind of mentioned about it as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, I always look at it as injuries are going to happen. And it's only the players who know if it's a fake injury or it's not. But like from an outside perspective, a lot of injuries this first half. We saw the injury of De Villiers' ankle. He's still gone. We saw Kurtley Arendse go off for the HIA. He is not going to be continuing in this matchup. We saw the injury of Peter Steph-Toy's neck. He's continuing because he's an absolute madman and doesn't seem to be made of anything other than granite. For New Zealand, we saw De Groot with the knee injury. Lord had a little bit of a knee injury, and then both men actually ended up with head knocks. Then from there, Vai had a bit of an injury. I think that's all of them that I can think of anyway, but it was a very eventful first half with a lot of players going down with little knocks along the way. But I think it's definitely going to be testing of the gas tank later on in the contest that they likes for Hamish Hamishvili. Says Robbie there. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Who's been missing the penalties? We've seen 1 missed kick in this contest. 1 for Ruben Love, and outside of that, Cheslin Colby is 3 from 3. We have there, if we're honest, the All Blacks got lucky not to concede over that last period. I think so. I think that they were on the verge of a yellow card a couple of times. I think they almost could have got a yellow card for a couple high shots that no one looked at. But, yeah, it's definitely one of those halves that, if the second half is anything like it, it's going to be brutal as well. I would say I'm going to miss about 50 messages, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm an absolute mile behind at the moment in the comments. Is it just me or does Cody look aged? Cody's been rough in this contest, giving away a couple penalties that he really shouldn't have, and also just hasn't looked that 100%. You could also argue that he hasn't added enough to the lineout to make the selection warranted. Don't get me wrong, Bulls last week, he proved that he should have been here, but he definitely isn't having his best game. And I think that's something that Dave Rennie has to think about. Do you bring on a Safwa more early to get a bit of physicality going? I mean, missed your commentary, Hamish. Been a long, long time. Welcome back, James. Yeah, hope you've been keeping well. Hope you're excited for the store. Hi, how are you? Says Hannah, doing very well. Excited for the second half. It's going to absolutely fly by. I can tell you that right now. Peck has been disappointing for the All Blacks. Yeah, there's been a few mistakes in that department, and also, again, the aerial game. New Zealand haven't been able to dominate in the year. Cheslin Colby winning the high ball, Valimza winning the high ball too, and discipline. You can actually stack up quite a few things that New Zealand haven't quite done at the same level, but you look at the scoreboard, 1 point down, they'd probably still take it, I would think. And Bomb Squad is next then. We are busy brying your team. Says Jade, yeah, although one change has already been made of that Bomb Squad, it's only a 5-2 split now as the second half wears on, seeing as Easthuizen came on in the 9th minute or about the 10th minute of the contest. But it's still going to be no different. in terms of the impact that they can bring, the likes of a Visa, although I think he probably comes on for Etzebeth, to be honest. I think that Nokia has done enough to stay out there, and I think Cobus Visa is probably the swap for Etzebeth. And there, I love your commentary, my brew. Says Mister, and also I feel like we're going to get smashed, says Distracted Sports there. A 3 a.m. nightmare in New Zealand, says Nunu. And officiating, or official suburb officiating, says Scheme. And also the box doing great, says Yako. And there as well. But we've still got another 40 minutes of this matchup. It could easily swing in either side's favour, depending on the momentum. Brilliant commentary, says Ian. Thank you very much, Ian. It is greatly appreciated you being here. Comments about the crowd during the haka, very quiet, to be fair. I know that Rassi said that he was hoping the crowd would be silent for the haka, and it seemed like they were. And then the double flyover with the two planes, and then earlier on with the other plane going the other way, there were a lot of planes involved in the early stages, which was fantastic if you do like planes. I don't mind planes. I don't understand planes. No, we're not going to go down the plane route because planes hurt my brain, the fact that something so heavy flies. The same with cruise ships. Something so heavy should not be able to float on water, but physics is a beautiful thing. The forwards haven't been given the All Blacks a good platform to attack from. And Chur, bold-looking physical man. Let's pick it up, All Blacks. May rugby win. Says Rio Gamer there too. And also we have got there, Rock Hamish and the idiots. Says Carol Ann there. And also we have got there, first 10 minutes of the second half decides the game. Says Calvin. And also we have got there, we're lucky to be trailing by only 1 point. Please don't be rude to Hamish, says Mohadeen. And also, are we going to play running rugby when Mani Lebok comes on? And also we have got there, can't bring ballet to a karate fight. And Esterhazy, a man of the match here. He's had a sub-and-a-half game for Esterhazy here, making his way on, scoring the try, breaking through the tackle attempt to Josh Morby. Did Aronsa pass his HIA? He did not. So he's going to be off for the rest of this game. So the early change at Esterhazy, which has kind of put the cards out there in terms of where they want to play him. And it makes sense as well because they've only got Lebok or Reinach as your other guys. Maybe they could have looked at putting Reinach out on the wing if needed. And I think if there's another wing injury, that's what we may see. Visa's absolutely rampaging. Yeah. The fact that that man at one point had 39 metres made and 20 of those were post-contact, that's a crazy stat. Our Lord looked a bit nervous before his HIA. Says B. Williams, and Visa is intense. Have to admit he's top 8 in the world. The box powerful. And it is what it is. The All Blacks don't know what we know. Says Jenny there. And Springboks is winning, says Yvette. And also Visa is a truck on wheels at 8. Damn. And 9 penalties to 4. They only hit by 1, says Kiwi Sports. I think that'll be something that New Zealand can look at as a positive. They can say, look, we didn't have the first half go too well whatsoever in terms of some of the parts. The penalties, the aerial challenge didn't quite work the way they would have liked it to. But again, like you said, they're only down by only down by the 1. So that's something that New Zealand can look at as a real positive heading into the second half. The fact that, they're not out of this game. They are still right there. We have got there, you need it for your voice, says Carol. And also we have got there, that's not water, it's vodka, inside info, says Ruby, and the discipline needs to be fixed. Please phone and tell Dave Rennie that. And also Grant Williams to 11, Reinach to 9. Yeah, that is true. Williams actually did play there during the World Cup last go-round, didn't he? And that was brutal. Our pack under pressure from box dominance up front and contact the scrum and breakdown. And we also losing in the air. We still win it though, says A. Marika. Reinach versus Tupavai is a good matchup. I watch them get each other's, says Johnny Blaze. Lots of players getting bumped off, need to get lower in the tackle, says Nutter Boy. Yeah, there's been a few missed tackles from the sides. I have noticed with South Africa, they've been very structured in their way that they're defending. They're committing 2 men to the man, and then one of those 2 men is able to go for the turnover or at least attempt it. We saw Marks doing it quite a bit in the early stages of the half. De Villiers has been in there too, trying to rip it away, although I don't think he's had a clean steal as of yet. We're seeing some of the stats. New Zealand have made more metres. South Africa have beaten more defenders. But New Zealand actually having slightly more carries throughout that first half too. And we have got there, what was the nature of De Groot's knee injury? They strapped it up, but he did seem to lose his power in the scrum. Now, of course, you could also argue that's because they were facing the South African scrum, and a lot of sides seem like they lose their power. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if De Groot from that head knock is out for the next 2 weeks. and the knee could even be something more serious. But I don't think it's like a out for November sort of thing because of how long he continued playing, but he definitely won't be playing next week. You're all in black and white. You're supporting the wrong team, says Carol Ann. And also we have got there, I expected a halftime score like this. It fits. Says Ruby, to be fair though, in terms of, I know that my tie is black and my blazer is black, but my pants are green. I'll try and whip a leg up. Oh, I'm getting old. They don't look green on the camera, but they are kind of like a green-grey. You probably heard the pop of my groin when I popped that up there. A lot of hate from our All Blacks, but it's not cool. Says Denver there. Last time South Africa actually had better backs than New Zealand. Says Kyle. And we need some more mongrel. Start putting some work in, says Gaz. And yeah, I think we're going to see some impact off the bench. The likes of a Peter Larkai, I think, could be someone that really changes this game for New Zealand. A Safwa more, at least you're wearing pants. Yeah, it would have been a bad day to forget to put them on and whip my leg up, wouldn't it? And we have got there all this hype about Paul de Villiers, an adequate replacement for Sia, premature. Says Banter. Oh, I don't know. I think de Villiers has a very bright future. I can understand why there's a lot of hype around him. You see him in the URC for the Stormers, and he just shows you week in, week out why. He is dangerous. Paul de Villiers getting owned. The thing is, though, I don't think he's necessarily like getting owned per se, because he's trying in every breakdown that he can. The difference is New Zealand are targeting to get rid of him in those breakdowns. But then that's leaving opportunities for the next guy who's coming in, whether that's a Detoy or a Marks or anyone along those lines. We talked about the clinical jacklers of the South African team. There's at least 5. Even Damien Delendy falls into that category. And we have got their mate track pants with a suit and tie. Don't get more Kiwi than that, says Nazi there. Yeah, well, the thing is, you guys couldn't see, well, until I showed it, of course, but you guys can't see the bottom half. So I thought, oh, well, we'll dress for the business at the top half, and we'll just wear literally whatever I want on the bottom half. It's currently, apparently it's 10 degrees Celsius here in New Zealand. How'd that happen? It was like 3 degrees earlier. It's a heat wave. But second half of this contest getting very close, ladies and gentlemen. Our scrum is so bad. What an embarrassment again, says NGM. And if we can keep the ball, we can still win this. Our game isn't done by any means, says Rolink. And yeah, like the thing is, 1 point difference is nothing in a game of international rugby. Of course, at the end of 80 minutes, 1 point could be quite a difference. But up until then, you know, you're one penalty away or you're one try away from getting back in there. We've already had, I believe it's about 6 lead changes in this contest. So it would not one bit surprise me if we have another 1 or 2 throughout the second 40 as well. It's going to be who has those big moments and who makes the most of them that will win this game. Net score is vital, says Matter there. I think the thing is, net score is vital, but also net's double up. You know, if you're in that scenario where you score and then you score again, I think that could win the game here. You should have a halftime countdown on the screen, says Sensei. See, I normally do have the 15-minute timer that I put on my phone to be able to work it out, but I'd say we're probably 3 minutes away from the second half starting up. I thought you were AI, Hamish, says Ruby there. Going to 2 for the John Wick look. Would you believe if I said I haven't seen that movie? I haven't seen a lot of movies, though. As you guys know, the final score is vital. I think Springboks demand respect, says Scheme there. South African and anyone can still win this game, and New Zealand will run out of steam, says Dean Adams. Although they have been going pretty nicely in the final 20 minutes, but that is also something that you can say about the South Africans. They are often very strong when those final minutes hit, and definitely with the fact that they've got that 6-2 split off of the bench, although now it is a 5-3 as we're seeing Esterhuizen play as a back, although it could still become 6-2 if they move him into the forward pack alongside Amaka van Staren and Kobus Avisa. It's going to be a very long tour, says NGM. And yeah, I mentioned about it before this match got underway. The unfortunate reality is we're going to see injuries in this contest. Seems like for the South Africans, Kutli Arendse is that guy who they will not have available in the next match. For New Zealand, it seems like De Groot, Lord, and then maybe someone else, depending on what happens in the second half. I can't think of anyone. I think they were the 2 main injuries. And then they were the 2 players who collided. Paul de Villiers is a menace, says Aldude Reno, I believe that is. And also we have got there who was smacked in the head. A lot of them. A lot of players hit in the head already throughout this matchup. And the Boks are breaking the All Blacks down tackle by tackle. Says won't believe everything. Why did they keep Jason Ryan on the coaching staff? Our scrum got worse. And what happened to Segner? It was actually a late injury withdrawal with an ankle injury. So instead Simon Parker made his way on, and he has actually made his way onto the field now Peter got hurt in his neck. Yeah, I thought they would have looked at that challenge. I thought Holland was a bit high heading into that one, definitely with the fact that Peter neck was the injury. But maybe you could argue if it's the neck injury, definitely the back of the neck, maybe he got hit in the chest and the neck kind of snapped forward, I would think. Fabian Holland is known for doing dominant tackles. The Boks don't know how to pass, they don't. Says Intel there. And neither of these teams have a weakness, says Megalicious. And making a good faith pass, or making a good faith. Please for the 3K beeps here to like the live stream for our man Hamish, says Kyle. 1 point difference like the 2023 Rugby World Cup final, says Chris Creason, and also many other games of that World Cup too for the Springboks. But that is one of the things that make them such a world-class side, is their ability to find a way to win, whether it's by the thinnest of margins or an absolutely massive one. They get there. They do the job and they find a victory sometimes when it seems like a defeat's on the cards. We have got all the comments about the Boks not getting past 12, but Marnie's coming. Says Gavin there. And also Rassi having a tanty in the locker room. No, I think Rassi will be happy enough with that first half. The one thing that he'll say is they should have been more clinical when they had the All Blacks trapped in their 22. We saw that try of Malcolm Marx that was almost won, but then he dropped it just short of the line. That was also due to the brilliant defence from Geordie Barrett. But little moments like that, in the wider picture of this game, they can be something that make the big difference. You know, a missed kick for New Zealand, for instance. Ruben Love missing the first one at the post. All Blacks slowing the game down. How many stoppages? How ironic. Says Dominic. Yeah, I know that's the comment that Rennie's made earlier on in the week that really did annoy a lot of people. And I think that, you know, no one anticipated this many injuries for both sides in this game. I mean, I thought we were going to see about 3, to be honest, and we've seen 3 in the first half. But yeah, it's definitely going to be the one that is talked about after the game as well. How it's then going to be fired back in the other direction, and then the second game will happen and it will probably fire back the other way. It's a bit of back and forth that I feel like. The thing is though, I would prefer people talk trash about that than people talking trash about the refereeing. Like, I'm all for them saying that the stoppages is the problem rather than the officiating, because at least then we get a game where people say, yep, officiating was fine, and, you know, you have the result without the excuses side of things as well. Second half, let's get it. Says Johnny Blaze there. But now ready to kick this one off for the second 40 minutes. Will be Ruben Love, and we are underway now. Greatest Rivalry Tour, first test match, second 40 minutes. We'll get the sneeze out the way too, but Jasper Vesa carrying the ball again. A lot of post-contact meters for that man. Ref has been classed. Yeah, I think the referees have been pretty solid for this game as a whole. The Springboks are taking this one. Says Maestro there and bring on Lakai and Amua. Now going up for the high ball, and again, South Africa managing to retain it with Chesil and Colby. Man, has such an incredible aerial ability. Join late. How's everyone doing? Says 85 Eldon. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing well. Peter Steph Toy running sideways. Tackled by Quinn Tupaia. And yes, Morby scored. Says Patrick there too. Now another good tackle on Eben Etzebeth low from Bauer, who made his way onto the field for the Ethan group, HIA. Although I don't think either of him or Lord will be returning in this match, which means that Parker will also be on the field for the rest of it. Now it's kicked high, looking to go up for it. Morby not looking safe under the high ball. Tupaia fires it infield. Ruben Love now situated in the middle of the field with Damian McKenzie, who has a bit of a line break. Oh, he slipped over. He gets back up though, popping up like he was a whack-a-mole there, McKenzie. They move up to 40 metres out from their own line. Roygar looking away to the left. Now popped in behind by Jacobson. Love with the short ball. Geordie Barrett sells the dummy grubber in behind. Bit of open space back there, but Sasha cleans it up. And he will go for a boot of his own. Notably not going for distance, going for the chance of retention. And he does it there, Sasha, but then tackled by Damian McKenzie. Ball is on the side. Oh, Holland ripping that ball away briefly for New Zealand. Williams gets his knees to ground, and New Zealand get the unplayable scrum. Nice work there from the big man Holland, but again, great work from Sasha Feinberg. Ngumazulu, the way that he is able to retain those kicks, and that is probably about the 5th kick of the day that we have seen South Africa actually gain at least 20 metres from a kick that they have gone with the up and under. Parker, Anton, Leonard Brown, Carter Bauer. That's not a strong bench. Says Fred Kelly there. Yeah, although to Leonard Brown's credit, with the exception of a little bit of discipline problem, he has been in some of his better form in the All Blacks kit in the last little while. We have there coming the All Blacks. We need to keep our scrum steady, says Josiah, and this will be a big test for Bauer since this will be his first scrum since making his way onto the field. Yeah, so they are just saying Josh Lord and Ethan Groot, they are sitting down there on the bench for New Zealand. They will not be returning in this matchup. Let's go the All Blacks, says Radley. And powerful. I can see the All Blacks scared to run straight. I would be too, says Nazi there. Now Cam Roygaard sells the dummy, trying to sneak round. Pops the offload away to Quinn Tupai. Big collision there. Did he roll away? Damien Dialindo, they say no, so Carly tells him not to go for it. Now back to Ruben Love. Barrett moves it on to McKenzie. He's running it a little bit more in the second half. Almost obstruction there with Parker being in front. It looks like they have just rolled it as the play on my poor heart, says Jasmine. And the All Blacks are winning, says Jessica there. Currently down by the 1 point. That's close to a turnover for Malcolm Marks. Does the ball come out for him? He's definitely getting a decent hand at it. Now kicked high from Roygar. Chasing after this one is Geordie Barrett. Going up for it. Knocks it back. Colby, though, manages to get the ball in the end. Valenza close to the sideline. Firing it infield to Andre Esterhazen. Hanging on to the leg was Barrett again. Made some crucial tackles here, Barrett, from that number 12 jersey today. Around the halfway line, Williams. Would not be one bit surprised if we see one phase from Oxenshire and then maybe a box kick again coming from the box. Bit of a counter ruck though from Simon Parker. And now rolling it back, Williams will go aerial. Only 44 minutes through. This one's going to be again contestable. Barrett chasing after it. And Roygaard manages to claim it, but it's a knock on from New Zealand after the high ball. Barrett says he didn't touch it. It came first off an All Black, then the Springbok. Roygaard wants it checked. We're going to see the replay now. Does Jordan get a hand on it? Yeah, the knock on there from Will Jordan. We have a good effort by the All Blacks to be down by 1 with over double the penalties. But this is going to be, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, the first Springbok scrum of the day that they have had the feed for. Now, this is going to be a huge test, as we've seen New Zealand lose 2 of their own scrums. And now this will be the first chance for South Africa to see what they can do with the ball and the timing of their own. Artie looks down respectfully. Says Nazi Williams there. Yeah, there will be plenty of fatigue out there. Scrum time, says Johnny Blaze with the hiding emoji there too. But now Grant Williams puts the ball in. Oh, tell you what, decent shove initially from New Zealand on the near side, but they gave up. And then from there, South Africa get themselves the scrum penalty. It's a penalty. All Blacks was offside, says Johan there. Well, the scrum penalty has gone the way of the box. Getting killed in the air, says AE. And also, I don't think either side is playing particularly well, says Cringy Cook. Right, double blow of the whistle here, bit of a stoppage. Right, replacement here, Oxenshire, the man who will now make his way from the field. The Abbies ain't scared, says Jeff J there. But a brilliant effort from Oxenshire. We've got to remember that man's been dealing with injuries of his own. They always drowned out the haka with your plans, no matter what. Or no matters, bro. And when the Abbies play at Ellis Park, although they didn't this time, they actually were pretty silent for the haka. And I believe that is mainly from what we saw from Rassi heading into this contest. He pretty much said that he wanted silence for the haka, wanted to have the sign of respect from both teams. And someone tell me why the All Black supporters keep forgetting. They are the Rugby World Cup trophy behind. The Boks were sanctioned out of the first World Cup. Lastly, the All Blacks have never won a World Cup final against us, says Jacques. I'm sure if they forget it, though, you will remind them, Jacques, as do many South Africans. But a line-up at the posts here. Okay. I'm not sure of this decision here, ladies and gentlemen. I get it. Take the 4-point lead rather than the battle of the threes. But the All Blacks, again, giving away another penalty. One more at the line-out or the rolling maul. Maybe they could have had someone go into the bin. But Colby does get it over. That's the first step in that scenario. But does add the additional points. And 16-12 now the scoreline. We have got there Amish as a racket. And we have got there, come on the AB, says Josiah. And Discipline New Zealand, please, says Roof there as well. And we have got there, this game is making me nervous. It's amazing so far. May the best team shine through as long as it's good, exciting power game, says Alistair. That one's kicked off long and high again, down towards Jasper Vesa. He straightens with his run. Great tackle by Simon Parker to stop him in his tracks. Jordan, a little bit slow getting back up, and he's got a bit of an injury here, Will Jordan. There's a bit of concern for him. He's slow getting up. Holland stealing the ball off a charge down, and the big man at lock gets it done. He's done it before in this Greatest Rivalry tour, but that is a mistake from South Africa, just out from their own line, and Holland manages to get the try for New Zealand there. That's one mistake that you just cannot afford to have. Times it well with when Grant Williams picks up the ball and Holland gets the try, hangs on to it with one hand too. O's on it, fly out for the box. It is Sasha who is in charge of that one. And come on the box. And also we have there, Grant needs to come off, says LB. Fabian Holland scoring it against the run of play. Peter Steph Toy charging at the referee here. He is making sure Matthew Carley hears his concerns. It's been quite a bit of that today. Peter Steph as well as Savi are both right in the face of Carley. And Will Jordan a little injured. Yeah, that's a big concern in this scenario of whether or not he is going to be all right to continue in this game. That is a kick and a half from Ruben Love with the pressure that is on in this type of matchup. New Zealand now lead by the 3 points. That's the thing, mistakes will be punished by both sides. And Jordan smashed shoulder. Yes, he stayed down for a long time and then kind of was stretching down on the ground. And yeah, holding that left shoulder by the looks of it. See it there, the charge down from Fabian Holland. Kick off though from South Africa, putting the All Blacks under pressure inside of their 22 again. Here comes the run from Savia. Have we seen him enough for a skipper's effort in this contest? Maybe not quite. We have got there, let's go to the box. Says M-Set, now kick downfield from Roy Garb. Won't manage to find touch with it round the halfway line. Sasha fires it to Damian Valimza. Now another tackle attempt there from Parker. Does miss that one. Williams away to the left now. Sasha again with the up and under. New Zealand have struggled with this all throughout today. Damien Dialendi able to claim it this time. And every time they kick it to the air, it's a 10-metre gain for the South Africans, at least, maybe even 20 at times. Gerald Stennekamp for his first run, but Bauer on the ball. He's told to leave it alone by Matthew Carley. Short ball, Williams goes to Vesa, who breaks through one, but Geordie Barrett again with the crucial tackle. Williams, short ball to Sasha, who has knocked it on inside of the All Blacks 22. Bit of a counter ruck from Marks, but the ball's still on the side of Roygaard, who will go out wide. They've got the advantage that New Zealand can work with as Tupaia moves up to 22 out. Bit of a counter ruck there from Colby, played from the ground from Quinn Tupaia. They'll go back for the initial scrum. And Geordie, unreal. Geordie has had a day and a half out there. I know that he's got a few people who don't like him in that 12 jersey, but he has been absolutely exceptional today for New Zealand. I think some of the tackles that he has made has saved tries. I mean, well, in fact, he saved 2 tries. He saved that one of Vesa with that barnstorming run he was making towards the line, and then he guaranteed Malcolm Marks not to score earlier on in the contest too. Again, this game is far from over, ladies and gentlemen. We are still 30 minutes remaining on the clock here of what is an intense match. If this is the first match and this is how it's going, what are the other matches going to be like too once we start getting an aggregate scoreline going in terms of 1-0 for one of these two sides after this game, although draw is still on the cards. Can't be completely ruled out. We have got there Geordie okay at 12. Says Floyd Kingy, and Geordie Demand says Nazi there. Now ready to fire this ball into the scrum for Cam Roygaard. Again, the pressure from the box, unable to get it out there, and another penalty. Grant Williams taking the quick tap. He was in front of the mark though, so Carley sends him back. If you're South Africa, do you take the 3 now? I think that they made a mistake going for the 3 last time. I believe in this scenario, this is where you kick for the post. No, sorry, this is where you kick for the corner, just like they should have last time as well. Put the pressure on. Oh, okay. Well, they haven't kicked for the corner, and they haven't kicked for the post. They go and scrum again. They have decided that now this is the time to try and really get New Zealand maybe a man down. We have got there Georgie Icon, says Nazi Williams there. And now scrum is the call again. New Zealand will do very well to avoid any sort of scrum penalty here. And we have got their only penalty kicks. Upper can't pass the ball. Says Intel. And All Blacks, you strong, don't give up. And I Hamish, great commentary, go to the box. Says Vanita Swart. And there too. But Grant Williams. They are doubling down. In this case, the Springboks front row collapses new penalty advantage. And this is where they will be for the next 5 minutes if Sasha doesn't score right now. Gets back up to his feet. No clear release from Sasha. So that probably should have gone straight back for the penalty, but it will be held up anyway. So returning to where the penalty was. And I think you can bet your bottom dollar what the Springboks are thinking here again. This has to be last warning for New Zealand too. I can't watch, unfortunately, who's playing better between Sasha and Ruben. I would say Sasha's general play has been solid in terms of his work with the high ball. He's getting those kicks very accurate in terms of distance. Love's had a couple decent carries, but has been really shut down from that number 10 jersey, although there have been a lot of skip passes from New Zealand, which I think is where we're seeing the skipping of Love. Oh, what's happening with Colby? He was just having a chat with the touch judge there. But again, the scrum. 27 minutes remain in this contest. And score please, Bok. I would be quite surprised if they don't here. And again, I'd be surprised if New Zealand can get out of this without a yellow card. Now Grant Williams puts the ball in. You can see the effort that is being put in, but now the scrum, no advantage play. Andre Esterhuizen, another great low tackle, this time made by Ruben Love. Ball popped up to Peter Steph de Toy. Was there an advantage arm that got extended? Bit of a fumble of the ball from Rua Nokia, but he's regathered it. Williams now looking away to the left-hand side. They are right near the try line here for the South Africans. Taylor has to roll away. Williams pumps it up to Dialendi. There's the penalty advantage for New Zealand being offside here. Now Williams looking off to his left. No, this time goes right just short of the line. Was Wilco low. Now Williams, there's a knock on. So they'll go back now for the penalty again. This has to be a yellow and a bit of push and shove from Holland and Dialendi. Just below the post. Holland taking exception to something that happened and Malcolm Marks just shoos him away and says, get out of it. Right. Carly, this has to be a pocket reach. I would have to think with the amount of penalties we have seen in recent times. And the thing is, advantage, I would say we're going to see a scrum again here. They're just going to get the mark now. 10 offside, so that is against Ruben Love. And All Blacks defence has been great in the 22, says Ruckus Kit. They've done well defending, but they just haven't done well avoiding that penalty. And that's been the one that's hurt them badly throughout this contest. Again, it is going to be a scrum, and we do see Asafua Moore and Fletcher Null both making their way onto the field. That may buy New Zealand an extra scrum, seeing as there is the change in the front row department. We have you there, come on the box. Says Arnold there. And the box slowing the game down on cue. Says Mike's there. Well, New Zealand got criticised for being slow in the first half, so I feel like maybe that's evening it out, isn't it? Eben Etzebeth, is he going off? No, he's having a chat here with Dwayne Vermeulen. He's going to get some replacement boots for the scrum. It is going to take a little bit of time here just while they do switch over the footing of Eben Etzebeth. And come on the All Blacks, says Ashleen there. And time off for boots. Yeah, so I think he put on some new boots here, Eben Etzebeth. He wants a bit more traction on the turf. Mox ain't going to win, says Ezra. And come on, says Arnold. And also ABs have been offside so many times, even scored from offside. Says Johan, and also with their bockies don't get the memo. You can't win tests with penalty kicks any longer, says Morgrel. You know, a few yellow cards here could certainly point them in the right direction if New Zealand cannot sort out one scrum. They need a big push somewhere along the lines. Because if they get themselves a penalty, it is multiple points that the Springboks have turned down. Even in Vermeulen slowing the game down. Says Johnny, and the outcome of the box, we can do this, says All Real Light. And going to be a good finish for the All Blacks, says Abdul Malik. And stop-start match perfect for South Africa, says Mike. And there too. And when have we ever stopped the game so someone can change to a clean set of boots? It doesn't happen often. Normally it's if the boots are like ripped up, but I think it was his old boots were held together by tape, so maybe they were to the stage that they needed replacing. Tell you what, 77 metres made for Jasper Wiese. Post-contact is still 44. He's still flying up in terms of those metres and doubling, or like half of them have been post-contact. Change the boots, what the hell? Says Max there. What's the score? Currently the score is 19 points to 16 in favour of New Zealand with 25 minutes remaining. You're the man, bro, says Gary. Thank you very much. Anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are back with plenty more of this Greatest Rivalry tour. With a scrum now for the Boks. This is where this game starts to get a little bit ugly for New Zealand if they can't get some sort of big moment. But the change in the front row, holding stable for now. There's the push penalty to the All Blacks. And you can hear the excitement in the commentator's voice on Sky Sport. That is a big mistake from the Boks. Rassi does not agree. He was shaking his head there. But it seemed to be on the near side that Bauer was putting on that little bit more pressure. But that is now probably 9, if not more points that the Springboks have turned down by going for that scrum. Now, don't get me wrong. They will go for it again. But that's a big push. In fact, it's Fletcher Null who is getting ruled as the man who helped win that scrum. And Bauer got a little bit of an extra shove going too. I actually think Bauer might have been the one who did get them to stand up. Now we have got the hours of scrum going. It has been dominant for South Africa, but that is a massive win at the scrum time for New Zealand. But they have to now do a little bit more. They have to score next because South Africa are lurking and going to try and get themselves another one in the very near future. Advantage not played at the rolling maul with a Safwa Moore situated at the back as New Zealand march forward a good 15 metres since the maul took place. South Africa joining through the middle, now short side for a Safwa Moore as he moves up to halfway. Marks is still on the field as well. I'd say they're going to give him a good hold, maybe 70 minutes in this contest if he can keep on going. What's the score at the moment? The score is 19-16 in favour of New Zealand. Roygaard going for the box kick, although as we know New Zealand have not been anywhere near as clinical with retaining that ball. Grant Williams close to the sideline, has a bit of a slip and gets held on to by a Safwa Moore who has to let him go. Jordan told to get out of it too. Sasha plays halfback. Away to Gerald Stennekamp. Tackle by Parker as well as again Geordie Barrett. Going to struggle to be able to roll out of the areas stuck underneath. The Boks supporters will always be here, says Yanita, and we are going to be here for all of this Greatest Rivalry tour. So, of course, if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Colby chasing after this one, but well taken by Will Jordan. Breaks through to Villiers' tackle, skims around a couple more, pops it off to McKenzie. He's got Roygaard to his right-hand side, sold the dummy, broke the tackle of Sasha Feinberg. Ngome Zulu, but it's put down, or is it? I think Roygaard might have missed it. It was in the in-goal area. You can tell by Roygaard's reaction. He has not put that ball down. McKenzie getting through Sasha. And then Valimza with the last desperation slap of the ball backwards to stop the pass from McKenzie to Roygaard. They're going to check this. Roygaard does not look one bit confident though. In fact, he kind of looked down at his hands as if to say what went wrong. He was right there, ready to get the ball. An awkward bouncing one at that. So they are saying that they are just checking to see if Roygaard missed it completely. And in that case, it would be a 5-metre scrum for New Zealand. Unless Roygaard's knocked it on in the in-goal area. Right, so we're going to see it now. Valimza doing perfectly in terms of his running angle and a diving desperation slap to get rid of that ball. Then from there, rolling through Roygaard. Does he get it down? No, just missed it by half an inch. Got absolutely clattered afterwards by Paul de Villiers. The ball was forced down by Williams, but because of the slap backwards from Valimza, it will be an All Blacks 5-metre scrum here. Scrum New Zealand, so it's not all doom and gloom as of yet. But a brilliant run from Will Jordan to create a chance on attack, and then McKenzie with the perfect support. But again, the Boks were able to hang on. That is something that the side do so extremely well. Desperation. And a will to just keep on going. A change is being made now. Grant Williams, his day is done. And Reinach will make his way on now. A send-off for slapping the ball. No, slap backwards. So completely fine in that regard. We have got there who's the front row at the moment. Front row for New Zealand at this point in time is George Bauer, Safwa Moore and Fletcher Null. For the Boks, it is Wilco Lowe, Gerald Stennekamp and Malcolm Marks. And one more try for the All Blacks, says Ray. And the thing is, a try now all of a sudden puts you into a certain position of up by potentially 10 in this matchup, which could be absolutely huge. But New Zealand's scrum They did win the last penalty against the feet, but this is not going to be easy. And this is big. Ladies and gentlemen, Cheslin Colby limping. It looks like maybe the left leg. So that is going to be, wait, they've just made the change of Reinach. So Williams, where is Williams? Okay, so Williams is now out on the wing. Is the way that it's situated now, ladies and gentlemen. So they were about to change Williams, I believe, but he has now gone out to the wing instead, and Colby is off the field for the final 22 minutes. Who's in the box back line now? It is Marnie, or no, everyone but Marnie. So Grant Williams, Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu, Andre Estes, and Damien Dialendi, Jesse Creel, and Damien Valimza. But now the scrum for New Zealand, 5 metres out, and it's come straight out the back for Artie Savia. Short side, Sasha with a bit of hesitancy in making the tackle, but Roiger to the short side over the line. Jacobson scores, and New Zealand take the lead now by 8. And that is a massive moment for this New Zealand side when it comes to momentums. And the biggest thing was the halfway line, Will Jordan carry. We talked about it earlier on. He had a bit of a shoulder concern in this contest earlier on. He stayed out there, and that one run where South Africa just got the kick a little bit wrong has cost them the try here. Great commentary as per usual. Hamish says, Billy Bob in there. Do thank you very much. And so Roigard just said, I would rather get assist than a try, says Mr. Tuba Dude. But it's a big run from Jacobson as he slams it down. Nokia with some huge contact as he was going down there. And we have got there, Springboks can't score tries, says Morgrel. Well, the thing is, they didn't attempt to score them in a middle patch of that half, or a little bit earlier on. I think taking the 3 points to lead by 4 was the wrong call from South Africa in that point in time. I agree with the scrums 100% because they've been dominating in that department. But taking the 3 when they were on hot attack with New Zealand on a final warning, to me just didn't seem like the call that they should have gone with. And the All Blacks 4 tries to the 1. Yes, says Kiwi Graggle. That is correct. Jordan, Morby, Holland, Jacobson. The 4 try scorers in this game so far for the Kiwis. But now kicked off, Zachary Porthin on the field for Wilco Low. That's a big boot. And it's going to go dead from Sasha, or is it? It's in the in-goal area, forced down by Quintupai, and that will go right back to the halfway line. Mistake made by Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu. Oh no, in fact, it's a 22. No, it is right back to the halfway line. It was placed down off of the kickoff in the in-goal area. What's the score? It is 26-16 after Love was able to add the additional 2. Rassi not happy in the coaching box now. And well, mistake, huge mistake. Sasha, he's been solid off the kickoffs all throughout this game, getting them deep, but just a little bit too far in that regard. But now we see another change being made by Rassi Erasmus. We will see Marco van Staden make his way on to the field. Larkai attack now. Says Intel there. So Van Staden is on for De Villiers. That is the change that is being made by the South African team. Is this playing today? It certainly is. We are 60 minutes through the opening contest of the Greatest Rivalry Tour. And New Zealand currently lead by 10. Rolling the R's like cheese rolls downhill. And I wouldn't have opted for the scrum at halfway. Says B. Wayne there. Well, I think that was the best option in that scenario, right? The other option would have been a 22 dropout or a re-kick, which I don't think New Zealand wanted. They would have much preferred getting this ball available around the halfway line. Now Geordie Barrett firing it away to Damien McKenzie to Will Jordan, who has knocked it on now in a loose ball. Grant Williams off to Reinach. They are in touch, and it will go back now for the scrum. Or will it? Ooh, this is too... They're going line out the All Blacks. I don't think South Africa had a significant advantage there. All right, we're going back. Marnie Libok now making his way on. They're also talking about Will Jordan not being 100% currently. Currently 62 minutes through this game, though. Interesting. Libok's on for Esterhazen in this scenario, so they will leave Sasha out for the full 80. But I can't believe that's an All Blacks line out. After the knock-on from Jordan, that one's loose, and Jacobson's thrown it into touch. So it's going to be now a Springbok line-out, which I think was probably the right result anyway. But a mistake made by New Zealand on the short side to now give South Africa the chance on attack. And take Sasha off. They have not. They've taken Esterhazen off, who's been a battering ram all throughout this match since making his way on for Kurtley Arendse. I personally am a devoted Springbok supporter. However, a lot of the fellow South Africans aren't concerned enough All Blacks did their research. Holding the box on their toes, says Puff Daddy there. Big work from Jacobson in the breakdown. Almost got the steal now. Reinach sells the dummy. Big tackle made by Parker. Knock on advantage now. Offload from Peter Steph the toy out to Etsa Beth, who's taken down by McKenzie. But the box move into the 22. Williams up to Malcolm Marks. Another tackle made by Parker, who's really getting into his work throughout the second 40. Big collision with Peter Steph the toy as he's driven backwards. Loose ball. Savi is on it for New Zealand, but doesn't end up winning the steal. Or what's happened here? There was a knock on by South Africa. And New Zealand have the scrum 20 metres out. Concern for Damian McKenzie, who was holding his wrist in back play after having to try and tackle the big man Etzebeth. But I think there's concern for Jordan and there's concern for McKenzie, the two men who were questionable in this contest. In fact, it might have been Ruben Love, my apologies, who's got a bit of a shoulder injury by the looks of it. Morby goes off the field, though. That's for Leroy Carter. That's confused my brain, seeing as it seems like there's two other players in the New Zealand backline who were worse injured. But Carter's now on. I don't know what's going on. So we've seen for Rassi a replacement get replaced. And for New Zealand, we've seen the non-injured player get replaced too. Predetermined subs, you'd have to think maybe. Or something along those lines. Don't lose form, Box. There's a very crucial moment in the game. And the Box, and also score a try now, the Box. And also we over there, what a game. It's been a pretty good one for the first match of the Greatest Rivalry Tour, hasn't it? And the thing is, this is going to get closer than 10 points, ladies and gentlemen. I do not doubt one bit the Box are going to score at least one try throughout the closing moments of this contest. And it may even, oh, hang on, TMO check. This might be for Peter Steph to toy head contact. He did dip down into the collision. Oh, no, in fact, it might be for the shot on Jacobson. Oh, no, they're checking for Jacobson's foul play. Okay, so they're saying that Jacobson tackled Visa, who was offside, but because he tackled Visa over the breakdown, it then makes it a knock-on. I think that's actually not, I think that's fine. Looking at that angle, because they've actually shown that Jacobson, he made the tackle on Visa, but then he moved on. Okay, they're going to carry on with the knock-on. They have said that due to Visa being offside, he had no right to stop Jacobson from going towards Reinach. So in that scenario, the scrum is going to stand. We have got their WF, says Norris. And have the All Blacks have more possession? They have throughout the second half. An outstanding refereeing, says TypeScript Legend. And please update the time. So time at the moment is 64 and a half minutes through. A bit harsh, says Big Rig. Timo trying to give the win to the Box. Says Mark. Oh no, that was Nada Boy. Good heavens, says Runaway Bride. Says well done the All Blacks. The Box will catch up. Says you think. And the bad call, says Theme. Now ball is going to be fed in for New Zealand's scrum, which holds strong and even might even get a penalty advantage. No, it might. Geordie Barrett kicks this one downfield from inside of the 22. Do they take it quickly? Sasha decides to. Throws it to himself. Looking to run it back. A lot of space in back play. He is looking for the 50-22. New Zealand retreating, but the ball sits up perfectly for Ruben Love, who has a free kick to go way downfield into the Bok 22. Now at the back, Sasha. Does he run it back? No, instead he'll pass it off to Money Libok. They're looking towards the far side of the field. LeBock is always dangerous when the attackers go and miss tackle on Grant Williams, who breaks the line. Great tackle attempted by McKenzie, and Williams just couldn't quite free it up. Was Jordan supporting his body weight there? Referee says yes, he gets in the breakdown again, Jordan, and he wins the penalty. He's supposed to be injured. He had a sore shoulder. And he's just got in two breakdowns, taken a couple hits in the process, and managed to rip it away. He all but had it in the first one. Reinach was under pressure, and then from there, Jordan said, you know what, I'll have another crack, and got it at the next breakdown. Oh, yeah, the yes, boys, says Josiah. Oh, well, I'm about to say Jordan might need an HIA, says Ruckus there. And also, we have got the, check the heart rate there, H says Rugby Jackal. It's actually fine, my heart rate. It's like, I'd say maybe like 70 beats a minute, somewhere around there. It didn't feel fast at all. What's wrong with Will Jordan? Well, he had a sore shoulder, but now he's fine. and he's just done what he did in that breakdown. But 14 minutes remain. They're showing Richie McCaw on the screen. Quite a few All Blacks and Springbok legends at this game. Ball stolen at line-out time by Eben Etzebeth. He's another one of those Springbok legends, but he's still out there on the field. Backline movement, knock on from Sasha Feinberg, Ngome Zulu. And it's another mistake from the young first five. Now, there is going to be a lot of criticism thrown in his direction if this game goes the way that it's currently shaping up, because they didn't take him off for Mani Libok. They took off Esterhazen, who was doing a lot of things right, but we see it there, Sasha just having that ball slip through the fingertips. Is the game done now? I don't think it's done until New Zealand score again. I think that South Africa, they have got more than enough talent to still be able to score in the next 13 minutes, and then it comes down to what happens in the rest of the time. But currently, New Zealand, they are in control. 10 minutes, or just a bit more than 10 remaining. We do also see Malcolm Marx still out there on the field, and we see Jan-Hendrik Wessels has made his way on for Harold Stennekamp. So that is the second sub that Rassie has made. Oops, that's the wrong one. It was from Jalen for the donation. Thank you very much. Currently 67 and a half minutes through. But yeah, second time that we have seen someone who started or came off the bench now off the field for Rassie. Quinn Tupai kicking it downfield, finds a lot of open space, and it's a 50-22 for New Zealand. And I mentioned about the control and the almost the momentum of this game. New Zealand have now certainly got it. This is it, says the underdog. Yeah, if New Zealand score now, I believe they win this contest, because South Africa are down by 10. Which means if they score, they would need 2 converted tries, South Africa, to still be behind in this contest. You Kiwis can't pronounce our name properly. Which one would you say I'm pronouncing wrong, Greer? Do let me know. I always love being corrected. And as you guys know, we've been corrected many times. That one's thrown in. To be fair, Sasha's name hurts my brain in terms of trying to say it, but that's nicely taken by Aspervesa. And again, this game is not over. South Africa with the ball in hand again. And the ball with Zachary Porthin now. Well done, New Zealand. Let's do this again soon. But it is back in the hands of Reinach. Now Jan-Hendrik Wessel runs it at Savea, who's in the breakdown, and he's ripped it away for New Zealand. Again, this final 20 is looking like a dangerous one for the ABs. Kicked him behind a fresh-looking McKenzie charging after it. Tackle on Creel. They're 5 metres from their line, the box, and that's on the side of New Zealand with the counter ruck. Do they get the penalty? Oh, Roygaard smashed there. Right, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made here. Matthew Carley going towards his assistant judge. This might be yellow card territory for the Springboks. Okay, Nika Amushikeli on the sideline has said he doesn't believe it's a breakdown. In which case, what's this call going to be? They're going upstairs. This is huge. This is the game right here in this call. If South Africa avoid giving a try away here, they still have a chance. If they do end up conceding something penalty cynical-wise, we're going to see the replay now. Oh, okay. The TMO, I believe this isn't actually what the TMO was looking at, but they've found a slightly high shot from Savea that happened around the 22 that they are going to look at instead of the breakdown 5 metres out from the line. I think this is going to work all right here. So they've said that the contact is with the shoulder initially on Yaspafisa from Savea, and then it rides up. But yes, not the one that Carley was looking for from the TMO, but it's the one that they're checking. Absolutely nothing, says the underdog. I find a friend, if you have one, says, Noah, my friends will all be probably asleep. It's 4:50 a.m. Right, the referee has said they're not seeing it as foul play. Their head drops forward, and there's contact with the head. Okay, TMO Mike Adamson feels that there is foul play. Referee feels there is not. So now it comes down to who has more of a say, the referee on the field or the TMO in the box. Okay, Matthew Carley now asking for what he initially wanted to see, which was that breakdown just short of the line. Again, this is a game-changing moment here, ladies and gentlemen, and this might be the game. Penalty ABs, says the underdog. So they're talking about a potential cynical play from South Africa. So McKenzie makes the tackle. Then from there, the ball ends up on the side of New Zealand. We see Mani Lebok's hand in there, which he's allowed to do for a start. .21's going in the bin. That's Marco van Staden, the man who only just made his way onto the field. Now, this is a massive moment. It is not a guaranteed try, though, for New Zealand. They're coming in through the side. And they've said there that it is quite clear. So now sent off the field, it is Marco van Staden now. And they will have a man disadvantage for the final 10 minutes. Again, that doesn't change too much, though. Because you end up in this scenario where if New Zealand don't score, we know how strong South Africa can be with only the 14 men on the field. Who's Paul de Villiers? Well, he's the man who should have stayed out there rather than Marco van Staden, who sent himself to the bin for this last 10 minutes. And while Yellow says Raku Skatsa, yeah, they've ruled it as deliberate and cynical just out from the try line. This could end up bad, says Mr. Tuba Dude. By the sounds of it, they are putting Andre Esterhuizen into the scrum now. Oh no. They're backing themselves with 7 here. So the All Blacks, this is where they try and push over. But can they do it? They can't go early. Ball's put in by Cam Roigard. Scrum holding strong. That just shows you the class of the Springbok scrum. The fact that they can defend, is that a knock on from Reinach? Or is it deliberate? It's a double blow of the whistle. Oh no, in fact, it's just the one. 2 hands. Oh, they've given it as a yellow. No, I think Reinach got both hands to that. Unless the replay may show something different. But the box now down to 13. Right, we're going to see it now. Does he get 2 hands, Reinach? No, my apologies. He did only get the 1 hand to it. But no, it looked like he got 2, but then nowhere near 2. It was cynical, sadly, from Reinach, which is now going to result in the South Africans being down to 13 on the field. I finished them now, says Intel there. But now they are missing their halfback. They are missing their blind side flank, or their open side flank, I should say. And now Roigard to put the ball in again for this New Zealand scrum. There was a little bit of shuffling going on, but it's not going forward. They're being told to use it. Back in, that could be a Mani Lebok yellow card for a deliberate knockdown at the back as well. But McKenzie firing it away to the left-hand side, to the right as well. Jordan fires it back in with the offload to Creel. Right. The advantage was over. I believe they aren't ruling it as deliberate from Mani Lebok, so it will be a line out for New Zealand 5 metres from the line. But with 13 men, the Boks are still not going down. They are continuing to hold out for as long as possible. But the question is it going to break soon? And there was that deliberate. I think that Lebok looked closer to catching it than Reinach did, but it still wasn't the smoothest attempt at it. Right, a Safwa more, 5 metres out from the line. And that was a yellow, says Leon. Now ready to throw it in, a Safwa more. Our scrum is bad and we still pour under the high ball, says Kiwi Sports. Thrown in, taken by Parker. Now towards the sideline. Brilliant defence. Oh no, Boks advantage against them again. Moore tackled round the bootlaces once again. Roigard looking away to the left. New Zealand have to get over the line very soon, you'd have to think. Now close to the steel. Marks gets in there. He's lost his footing. Still trying to rip it away. And it's another penalty. The All Blacks 5 metres out from the line. Roigard considered taking the quick tap, but this time it's against Malcolm Marks for being off his feet. New Zealand are going to continue to keep the pressure onslaught going. 2 or 3 minutes remaining now on the clock. Substitution for the South Africans. Outstanding commentary, Amish. Thanks, mate. Says Kathy, anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. You all being here for this one. Visa going on and Etzebeth coming off. They've got there to vote for who the man of the match should be or who the standout has been. I think there's been a few who have really stepped up here in this contest. You can see the emotion on the face of the crowd as well. They know that this one, the next 4 minutes or the next 6, in fact, will be game-changing. The poll, 24% for New Zealand. And we have got there, we take Sasha. Now, Roygaard, 5 metres from the line. And 13 men, how horrible, says Peace there. And back to the drawing board, guys, says Robin. And the thing is, it's only a week away from the next contest. Picked up by Savia. Lobby pass out wide to Jordan. The All Blacks score it in the corner. And that will now more than likely be the game. New Zealand with a statement made at Ellis Park and still time left on the clock with a 2-man advantage to try and get something going. We have got there, the ref has been paid off by New Zealand. Says Joshua there. Now we have to give credit to the better team. Says Robin, and I told you that this will be the easiest match for New Zealand. Says Theodore. And the game over. And done and dusted, says Mashihu, but the wide cutout pass from Artie Savia. Joe, it's crazy though. Now to think about it, right? Rassi was going to rotate. Do we see more rotation or less rotation now? I think we'll probably see more, right? We got another donation from Robbie, AB's fans, which takes Sasha on a free transfer. He's the next Ankara, generational talent. This kid still in school. Sasha, man of the match, says Robbie. But that is a brilliant kick from his opposite in this game, Ruben Love. Between the posts, the All Blacks, the second half has been a different story where we have seen the Springboks take 3 points and the All Blacks be aggressive and score 3 tries. We've got there too. I said it before, I stated again. Oh, that one's going to be knocked on by New Zealand though. Malcolm Marks with ball in hand and South Africa still with a little bit of a spring left in that step to try and finish the job off. We have got there, Ruben Love, Sasha's daddy, says Dubs there, and the All Blacks says Ghosts. But now Grant Williams moves it away. Sasha Feinberg, Zulu tackle low by a Safwa Moore and also Parker trying to get it in the breakdown. A standout throughout this contest. There's no denying it has been Jaspafisa for the South Africans though. Wide cut pass from Damian Willemse out to Peter Steph under penalty advantage at the moment here. Williams looking away to the left. Here's Cobus Vesa, his brother. The fact that there is more than one Vesa that they can use is scary. Now, pick and go from the captain, Peter Steph Williams. Oh, and it's dropped by Vesa this time, that being Cobus. Update the scoreboard. 1 second, we'll go like that. There we go. Oh, it still didn't give them the extra 2, but there we go. 33-16. The way that this one sits. And keep on getting ready for the next game. Elevate T. So you blow kick down. You can finally draw a series. But I doubt it. Says Robin. Thank you, Amish. Great commentary, says Neil there. And South Africa will be better for the loss. Probably whip us next game, says Rakuskat. Now 3 minutes remaining on the clock here. The All Blacks, again, have to be very careful discipline-wise. Talking about staying on side, bringing physicality. The Box fans going to blame the referee for this game. It's always someone else's fault. Maybe let the Box suck. I don't think saying that they suck is accurate though. The Springbok side, they've had their chances. They just haven't been able to quite take them. We've got to remember they've had 2 tries that looked like a given that had little errors from the players. Geordie Barrett stopped both of them. But Malcolm Marks, into the first half, had the South African scored, that could have changed the game. Had they been able to score off the rolling maul rather than going for the 3, that could have changed the game. I think it's little moments, but there is still not a lot separating these two sides whatsoever, which is why this Greatest Rivalry tour is going to be so epic, and that is another knock on, turned into a penalty for Peter Larkai. Now up by 17, if my maths, no. Yeah, 17 at the moment, separating these two sides with 2 minutes remaining. And now the All Blacks will get arrogant and cocky and lose the other games as usual. Yeah, this tour is far from done for New Zealand. Yes, it's all well and good getting the win in the first one, but you definitely need to back it up with a performance next week too. We have got the New Zealand crush South Africa. It looks like Marco van Staden is about a minute away from making his way back out onto the field. But it was Geordie Barrett's tackle on Willemse that forced the knock on. I don't know if you can give man of the match to anyone but Geordie Barrett in this matchup. Jordan's probably a decent shout. We have got the one job, says Rugby Jackal. Taken by All Blacks, says Gambino, thrown in, nicely taken by Lakai at the back. Now just a minute 10 remaining. Do New Zealand go for another one? Or do they just look to close out this game? Kyle Preston has been put on the field. Again going to the short side. This time with a Suffolk Moore who's just thrown it straight into touch. A little bit of a weird play there from New Zealand. A Geordie man of the match, the best 12, says Tino Tender. And a lot of online Green Goblins are being humbled. And also we have got the disgraceful box. Bias TMO referral, strong ref, says Ishtuk. And they're doing a more WTF. Yeah, that was just a weird moment from a Suffolk Moore. But the All Blacks have been obsessed with the short side throughout this contest, I have noticed. Did I never put up Fran's message as well. I do apologise, Franz. Thank you very much for your second donation. I just saw it up the top and it ended up getting skipped. But the comment was excellent commentary and natty dress, Amish, from Franz. I'll try and find it to see if I can pop it up on the screen as well. But going away to the left-hand side, Marnie Libbock, the wide cut-out pass. Now running down the wing for Damien Valimza. I don't think it has it in my chat any. Oh, there it is. Thank you very much, Franz, for your generosity. Ball stolen again by New Zealand after yet again another knock-on from the South Africans. That is the full-time siren sounding, though. New Zealand now know that the job is done. In fact, that is the full-time whistle too. And New Zealand have won this game with 33 points to 16 at Ellis Park. Fabian Olin, you can see how much he's fired up. Injuries, little bit of a concern for both of these sides heading into the next contest. Kurtley Arons is suffering the head knock. Cheslin Colby going off with an injury too. Could be a very different looking back three for Russie in his next contest. But New Zealand, they've got a couple injury concerns of their own. De Groot and Lord, bit of friendly fire, taking each other out. We have got there not a sorry loser, but fundamentally bad decision by Russie with his selection during the game as well, as the referee has lost us the game. And also All Blacks play very well, says Jason there. And we have got the excellent, beautiful brothers in there too, and well played to all, and well done to New Zealand till the next one. And the next one, the excitement is the fact that the next one is just next week that it has taken place, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to be back rearing to go for that one. We've also got a midweek game for New Zealand that will be up against the Lions. That is going to be on the channel too. Excellent commentary, Hamish. Now go take a breaky break. Catch you next game, says Jalen there. Well done, Hamish. Good job on the commentary, H. See you next week, says Hamana, or Human in there, I should say. And bad luck, Box. Well done, All Blacks. And well played, All Blacks. Cheers, Hamish. And also we have got there, thank you, Hamish. I must have really pissed you off. Actually, you ain't read any of my texts. I still love your nipples. Says, so it's nothing personal. The chat today was way too quick for my brain to comprehend. I'm going to go back and read the ones that I did miss, so I'm sure I'll see something. Maybe not about my nipples, as you just said. But yeah, I'll hopefully find a few of them. Peace, everyone, says Sock. And there too. And bloody shows what good coaching can achieve compared to the last ones. And so proud of the boys. This is huge. Says Rolick there. Do you know what I've just realised as well? Rugby World Rankings, were they on the line this game? Because if they were, you need to win by 16 or more to get you yourself the extra additional boost in terms of the Rugby Rankings, which would then mean that New Zealand go to number 1? I think they were going to anyway if they had won this game. Well, now they have. But yeah, New Zealand go to number 1 with an additional 1.75 points awarded due to winning this by 16 plus. So they have now got breathing room of about 1.8 points between the two sides. So that means now, ladies and gents, just we'll do a bit of quick maths. South Africa up against New Zealand next week. If they were able to win the game by 16 plus, they would go back to world number 1. But if they were to win this game by a normal margin of less, oh no, they would still go to number 1 as well, for the way that it sits. We have got there, that's my maths too, and that has got Russie looked like a toddler. Says 1 there, and we have got there, Russie is going to force these players to make 1,000 or 10,000 passes each. Dropping the ball cost us the game. Says Madman Magic. Yeah, it just unforced errors from the Springboks later on in the contest that did really hurt them. In the scheme of the game, there were times, even someone like a Malcolm Marx, you look at him and how often he's been able to score a try that close to the line. But Jordie Barrett slapping the ball out of his hands and stopping him from being able to score it in the tackle. Like, that is a huge moment. And again, that could have been the game changer. Later on in this contest, New Zealand second half-wise, it seemed like South Africa weren't having the same dominance under the aerial ball that they were having for the first while. And maybe it just went a little bit too down the conservative route as the match wore on, taking the 3 points when they were up by 1 point. Had they scored there or had they got a rolling maul, yellow card for New Zealand, that could have changed it too. But as a whole, this is going to be a pretty hectic Greatest Rivalry tour. Ladies and gentlemen, who's your man of the match if you had to choose? Jordie Barrett. Jordie Barrett, for me, was absolutely world-class this game. Bought the ref, says H-Rod in there as well. And we got the rub of the green with the officiating, but still deserving the victory. Yeah, well, it's an interesting, though, because you'd say second half, New Zealand maybe had a bit more favour, but first half they were 9-4 down in the penalty count. I think that the biggest thing would be that New Zealand probably should have had a yellow card earlier in the game, I feel, but they didn't end up with one in the end. We have got the Geordie scored Dialendi, says Bronze Man. I mean, thanks heaps. And once the new front row came on, the game changed. Yeah, and I think that will be something that we probably see a little bit of a change around. Holland, the man of the match for me. Yeah, he had a big game there as well. And we have got there the All Blacks, and Geordie was tackling a lot. Really strong effort from Geordie. And much appreciated, says Gary there. And also, Tears of the Clowns, says Phil. And great tour test, thank you, says Rut. Oh, they gave it to Will Jordan. Like, don't get me wrong, he scored 2 tries, had some big moments, Will Jordan, but I'm slightly surprised that they gave it to him, to be fair. But then that's also, I guess, showing how many players stepped up. The fact that you can have a few good players that we just mentioned, and then someone else who had a solid game got the man of the match anyway. We have to get the Amish, you know. What I'm feeling right now, we were doubted. Says Josiah and Box lost that game due to inaccuracy. Says Sakile, and going to reply to all the trolling bot commentators who will hide away for a week and morning. Says Marika, I'm worried about the All Black scrum. How did Simon Parker fare? And my doubts about him. I actually felt like he went all right. He missed a big tackle, but then from there, someone else made it. And from there, he actually did get around the field quite nicely. I want to see some stats about him, but for me, that was one of the busier games we've seen from him, which was important because it's always talked about whether or not he has that physicality that some of the other players in the loose forwards do. But yeah, as a late-minute replacement, I think he did pretty decently. And thanks for the commentary. Brilliant as usual, says Rem. Thank you very much. Too conservative, Hamish says, cool story. Yeah, I believe the turning point of this game was when South Africa took 3, when they had all the momentum in their favour. And it's something that I don't think we've seen Rassi's side do in quite some time. Normally, you know, early on in this contest, they took a 3 when it was straight out in front of the post. That's understandable for first points of the day. But when you're in a position where you literally have the All Blacks on the verge of conceding a yellow card and you have had a very strong maul throughout the game, you don't take a 3 when you're 1 point up. You turn it into 8 points, you put the foot on the throat, and you shut them down. They didn't do that. They then went to that scrum, which did work nicely. But unfortunately, it just went one too many to the well. And then New Zealand got that big steal that helped them get out of that zone. We have their 5 tries to 1. And also our defence was brutal, says Gideon there. The media is raving about the ref not being bullied by their TMO, says Guppy. And also good All Blacks, says Kithon. And we have got there, South Africa could and should have won, but they gave it to the All Blacks, and the All Blacks deserved the win because they had a never die attitude, says Endless. Yeah, at altitude, they actually got quicker as the game wore on, which I don't think many people were anticipating at the start of the contest. But yeah, nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are going to have our post-match review that take place in the very near future, so be sure to check that out as well. But I will see you all for the next one.